Okay, am I good to go?
Oh, I still think it has the minutes confirmed, so
No?
we'll just do double next time.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted via WebEx, an online digital platform, and will be live streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. My name is Nancy Oman, and I will be chairing this hearing. Panel members participating via WebEx and who can be seen and heard are Lisa Valentini, Joanne Hayes, and Peter Reed. City staff will be assisting us throughout the meeting, including moderating the WebEx platform. Agents, applicants, and other interested parties participating in this virtual hearing registered in advance and will be connecting through WebEx using a compatible electronic device. Their participation will be through audio only. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and it is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to the property, permission to extend or alter lawful nonconforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone who wants to receive a copy of the committee's decision for an application must submit a written request by email to the general email address for the Committee of Adjustment, Toronto and East York District Office. Please include your name, address, and an email address. All Committee of Adjustment and TLAB notifications and appeal updates will be sent by email only. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, known as TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, known as LPAT. Appeal instructions will be set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. Participants who have registered in advance will be connected to this virtual hearing and will be muted automatically upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired, and when the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and I'll comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. When addressing the committee, please speak slowly, clearly state your name and address. Please confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. Where required, the applicant or agent will proceed first with a presentation of the application. Then, individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have completed their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent will be unmuted and will have an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will be taken into committee for a decision. Please note, the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice are informed of the changes. Panel members and staff, do you have any interest to declare for the afternoon session? Seeing none? Okay. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are you aware of any request to close or withdraw files?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. The first item is item number 20, 519 Westmount Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans and elevations. We have correspondence in support from number 508 Northcliffe. And we have correspondence in opposition from 510 Northcliffe. I'm not showing any speakers listed. Is the agent on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Marco Vieira. I'm the agent and the designer for this application.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do you need a presentation? I doubt it. Okay, do you have any questions of the speaker, of the agent? No? Okay, Mr. Vieira, we've read the material. Panel members do not have any questions. We're ready to go into committee. Is there anything you need us to know before we do that?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take it into committee for a decision.
Madam Chair, if I might just begin on this one, I have no issues with this one. There is a slight reduction in softscape that's being requested, but there's still quite a bit of rear yard softscaping in this case. It's 53.25 meters square, fair size compared to what we normally see. And again, the setbacks as well, I don't believe there's any impact on adjacent neighbors. So unless my friends have anything else to add, I'd like to bring a motion forward for approval of the application, and there are no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Reed? Okay, motion to approve, moved by Ms. Valentini, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Your application has been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 21, 63 Witch Crest Avenue. Panel members, we have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 8 photographs of the subject property, including an aerial view, copy of an order to comply affecting the property, correspondence from Nanthini Wignaraja Bhatt, the applicant, email correspondence from transportation, and I don't believe there's anything they're asking for. Nope. We have 7 form letters in support from residents on Witch Crest Avenue as well as Melita Crescent. Correspondence in opposition from number 65, which is adjacent, and also number 76, Witch Crest, and I am showing 5 speakers. Do you have all the speakers?
Through you, Madam Chair, there appears to be 6 speakers. I'm able to connect with 4 of them, 2 of which I'm still attempting to get hold of.
Oh yeah, you're right, 6. Okay, but 2 of them are at the same address, so, okay. Is the agent there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you please identify yourself for the record?
Yes, Thomas Gluck, 156 Duncan Mill Road in Toronto. I'm the agent for the applicant.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gluck. Because there's opposition, I'm going to need you to do a brief presentation. You have no more than 5 minutes, starting now.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of the committee. Madam Speaker, if I may ask you to show the photographs as I'm talking, I will identify them as number 1, number 2, etc.
Okay, we're just pulling them up now.
Sure.
Hi,
So the
Thomas.
first one would be the aerial view.
Is this the photo you are referring
Are
to?
they actual pictures you're looking for, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
they
there's a label called photos, E1, I think it is.
Yeah, that's where it starts, yes.
Okay.
There's one more, which is an aerial view. If we could see that.
Is it part of that package, or
Yeah, it's right at the
is
beginning.
that the beginning? Okay. I don't,
Just before this one.
oh,
There
it
we
is.
go.
Okay, so I'll start the clock now.
Thank you. The owner of the property is addressing the order to comply of June 19th, 2019, which requests the removal of a structure that is built between the subject property 63 Witch Crest and the property to the west 65 Witch Crest, as well as either the removal or the obtaining of a permit for a structure that is built on the upper level of the rear deck. This application addresses only the rear deck upper level addition. The structure between the two buildings is not addressed on this application, with the understanding that it is already in the process of being removed. The complex of townhouses was built in the early 1980s, 46 in total, 23 facing Witch Crest Avenue, 23 facing Melita Court, with a laneway in between. If we could move to the next photo. This is a portion of the registered plan of subdivision when the complex was built. And the lower left-hand corner is the subject property, 63, which is the only one that has a bit of a side yard between it and the Fred Dowling Cooperative Housing Complex just to the west of it, which is 62 to 92 Witch Crest. Moving from there to the photographs, the first photograph shows the front of the building, and it shows that you go up a half a level to the ground floor of the property. And then as we move to the next photograph, we see the slope down to the laneway, which places the laneway one full level below the ground floor of the property. And if we can continue from there, we are looking down the laneway and we see that the complex was built with decks protruding from each of the properties, supported by metal posts, and under these decks is a continuous row of parking with which is contiguous with the laneway. There's a very interesting and variety of different build-outs on these decks. And if we can move to the next photograph as we move down, consisting of various screens, gazebos, etc. The very last property to the right, just before the concrete wall ends the lane, is the subject property, and just barely visible beyond the last white lattice work balcony is the roof overhang of the subject build out. And if we can move to the next photo, we actually start seeing a little tiny bit of that build out. And if we could move to the next photo, we start seeing the actual portion of the house that was built out onto the deck, which is the subject of the application. And if we continue to the next photo, we see a complete view of it. And as we saw moving down the lane, it's almost entirely blocked from view until you get right to the end. Under it is, of course, the parking space. The parking spaces are delineated by two metal posts, which are spaced exactly 2.6 meters apart, which is the parking requirement. The posts themselves do not constitute an obstruction because they are within the first meter of the space. So these are perfectly legal and conforming parking spaces. And the last photo is just more straight-on view of the parking space. So where all this gets us is that in the PPR that proceeded to the application for minor variance, there were a number of non-compliances shown, one of which said that the parking space is not compliant, whereas it is.
Mr. Gluck?
The other one said...
Sorry
Yes.
sorry to cut you off. You're at 5.5 minutes. I need you to wrap up.
Okay, thank you so much. I just have one very quick thing to say, and that is that we have 5 letters of objection. All of them are from the Fred Dowling Cooperative, and all of them contain the same 2 items of misinformation. One of them is that they all address a portion of the construction which is not subject to the subject of this application, and the others that they all address easements and public walkways which do not in fact exist. So that's all for me now.
Thank you very much. We'll have you back after we hear from the speakers. Okay, is Linda Brown on the line?
I am.
Okay, can I have your name
Here.
and address for the record, please?
It's Linda Brown, and I'm a resident of 65 Witch Crest Avenue in Toronto.
Okay, you have 5 minutes, and please speak to the planning issues, if you could. And I'll start the clock when you start speaking.
Okay. Our the planning issues concern us because of water damage that happened in our unit at 65 Witch Crest, the northeast corner, because of an already existing non-compliant structure that's attached to our east wall. So we're quite concerned about this application for minor variance without this first structure really being addressed. We had been told that the city had mandated removal of the structure. A section of it was removed, but then it stalled. And so when we got notice of this application to legalize a minor variance by 63 Witch Crest, we were wondering what exactly they were looking to legalize, especially since the structure that they were mandated to remove has not, in fact, been removed. The problem for us with our buildings is that we have not been able to have any building condition assessment from our engineers along that wall to check for damage because it's completely blocked off from any kind of inspection of our walls, our foundation, which we're very concerned about because we've had very serious leaking and expensive leaking, actually. Our co-op had to repair that at our own expense, and it was a lot of money. That means our housing charges go up. We also were told that the fire department had seen that this was a problem. It wasn't to code, and our engineers confirmed that. There's no drainage system on this still standing structure, which dumped loads of runoff into our yard, which ended up in our basement. And we're not, we actually don't think that the issues are in fact not attached to one another. We think that we never gave anyone permission to attach, our co-op never gave anyone permission to attach anything to our structure. And, you know, we don't know why they're applying for a minor variance at this time. Do they have city approval? Like they certainly don't have approval from us. What was the nature of the original tear down order that the city gave? Because that has not been respected. So you can understand why we're a little concerned now when we have a whole new, you know, application to build even more onto this building. We get along with our neighbors. This is not a personal issue. It's simply an issue of continued possible damage to our building after a history for the past 2 years of considerable damage to our buildings. I'm just going to check my notes to make sure I said everything, if I may.
Sure.
And let's see. Yeah, and as far as there not being, this was never an easement, it's clear from the structure of the buildings that it was an easement originally. There is no joint wall between our two buildings, between 65 and 63, which you'd expect if there hadn't been an easement. What we think has happened is that the owner of 63 Witch Crest built an illegal structure across to block the easement, and you can actually see that when you walk through our neighborhood. You have many different. This whole compound was built with evenly spaced easements, and this is the only one that's missing. So I would disagree with Mr. Gluck that this was never an easement, and that seems to imply to me that he's trying to say that this whole thing is legal. I don't believe that it is, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the speaker, panel members? Ms. Valentini?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to clarify, when you say the water damage that is being caused, that's to not the upper addition that we're dealing with in this application, to all the lower additions that are at grade between the two buildings, is that correct?
Yes, and possibly though along our wall too, because the structure, when Mr. Gluck had said, you can see that there's a slope down to the laneway. Well,
yes.
The illegal structure actually follows that slope too. So it's not, we're wondering if there's any damage to our outer east wall as well. You can't really see it behind the gate, but if you take a look at the last photo in what Mr. Gluck presented, you can see to the left of that photo, you can see the illegal structure kind of peeking out at the edge of the driveway.
Right. But as I understand it, we're not dealing with the illegal structure because I believe Mr. Gluck said that's all coming down. We're dealing with the structure that's on the deck, that's raised. So is there any issue with that structure that's on the raised deck?
Only that, why should we believe anything that that is said when they haven't already complied with the order to take down the structure? To me, they're related.
Okay, well, I mean, that's not something that, that we can deal with in terms of if they don't get a variance for those other two structures, then that becomes a bylaw enforcement issue as far as I understand, but.
Like we are not comfortable, like we oppose the co-op. I think I can speak for the co-op because I've spoken to a number of people here. The co-op does oppose any new construction by this applicant for whatever reason until they have come into compliance. And that's our position.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and just, again, just to reiterate what Ms. Valentini said, the committee is only dealing with the variances before it. We can't deal with the existing structure, so we have to look at the application as a standalone and look only at that, just so that everyone listening understands. Okay, the next speaker, Mr. Johnston, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Can we have your address and full name for the record?
Yep, I live at 65A Witch Crest, the upper part of 65, and it's Pete Johnston.
Okay, you have 5 minutes, starting now.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm falling victim to the confusion here around what this is about and the upper level business, and I guess mostly what I have to do is reiterate what Linda Brown said, in that the current illegal structure is attached to our building, which we never gave consent for, and so therefore we have little reason to trust that the current thing they're talking about is not going to cause the same amount of damage that this one has caused to us. So as we've had leaky buildings, we can't access the entire east wall of the co-op building, and I think it's important for everybody listening to know that this whole row of townhouses is our co-op from 65 all the way down to 92 or 93 Witch Crest, I think. So we're not able to access that whole side of our building because of what's currently there, and so it's entirely possible that whatever they're planning to build is going to extend past where they say it's going to now, because what the work they've done in the past has done that. So I think we would like to see like where the property line actually is. If you can, there you go. See in the little left-hand corner there by that car is parking. in what should be a walkway between the two spaces. And you can see the little wooden door there connecting our two buildings, which is also a fire hazard. The fire department is supposed to look into it because we now have the 63 is attached, literally attached to our building without our permission or consent. And it's been causing damage and everything else. So, you know, obviously you're all here saying that this current proposal doesn't have anything to do with that, but we'll oppose it until the structure is actually taken down that is currently causing problems. Because who's to say that the thing they're planning on building is not going to add on to what's already there and double the problems and the damage to our property and impede our access to our property. We can't get at the east wall. If there's any problems there, we can't get at it. So, yeah, I just would like to see the actual property line deed, and for everybody to have a clear understanding if that walkway, that easement is city property or whose property it is, because it's been completely annexed now in a way that none of the other easements around have been. And if this proposal is going to contribute to that, then we will continue to oppose it. If it's going to continue to block off. So you'll see where that car was parked in the photo you just showed me, the photo you just showed up on the thing. The car was parked where the walkway is supposed to be. So they're already using that part as their own property when it isn't. So I guess we're all confused because we thought this was actually dealing with the illegal structure that we've been complaining about for years. And we would like some kind of timeline of when that's actually going to get dealt with would be helpful. I know that's not the job of this committee, obviously, you're telling us. Mm-hmm. So anyway, just to echo Linda, we cannot trust that this job is going to be done properly when the previous jobs have not been.
Okay, thank you. And again, we understand the concerns. The members have read all the materials, so we understand the issues regarding, fire, access to the parking, water damage, encroachment on the neighboring wall. But again, this application is before us only as it pertains to the carport, because the order to comply is pertaining to that it was built without a permit, and the city always gives people an opportunity to rectify that, and that's why they are before committee. So only for the carport, not that piece that closed off the packway. So again, I understand it's everybody's concern.
Okay.
But
well,
yeah,
what can we do?
So I can't
Madam Chair, could I just pipe in for a minute? Just for clarification, my understanding is that this application is to deal with the one-story addition that was built jutting out from the deck that is already existing and the parking situation. So from what I understand, from what has been submitted as this application, there's not a request to build something additional. It's to ask us to recognize what's already been built in terms of that one-story addition. And the shed issue is part of another compliance order issued by the city that if residents are not satisfied with the speed with which that is being done, they need to contact the city with respect to that compliance order for the structure that adjoins and as they have suggested, they believe is attached to their co-op. That is my understanding.
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, we don't just believe it; it is attached. That's not a belief. I'm not. This is not a religious debate here. It is attached.
So
I'm just saying to you that I'm just trying to differentiate to make it clear that what's being asked for is they're not going to be, as I understand it, building anything more than what's there, but the structure that has been built above on the deck that juts out, that addition is what they're asking us to consider, recognizing variance is needed after the fact for that addition.
And just to add to that, the second order to comply is basically asking them to either submit plans and get building permits for the shed, which is not before us, as my colleague just stated, or they can remove this, this shed. And that order to comply, based on what I have here, was ordered June 19th, 2019. So this committee cannot speak to the issue of the shed because it's not before us at all. We're only dealing with the carport and the structure on top. So I hope that helps clarify.
Well, it does, but who can we call? Like, well, you said 2019, like that's quite a while ago.
Yeah, understood. Well, it's an order to comply and it's through the Toronto Building Division, so you would have to, there's a phone number here if you want to write it down.
I do.
416-338-0700.
Yes?
0700.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. Do I have Ina and Rabbi Abraham?
Through you, Madam Chair, we're unable to reach Ina Abraham.
Okay. And the same with Rami? Because, yeah, okay. So what about Amanda Barker?
Sorry, Rami Abraham is here.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Hello there.
Hi, can
you hear us?
I can. Can you please identify yourself, name and address for the record?
My name is Rami Abraham. I'm with my mother, Ina Abraham. We're at 76 Witch Crest Avenue.
And we are not part of the co-op. We are a homeowner.
Okay, so you have 5 minutes. I'll start it when you start speaking, and please, if you can give us some new issues, because we know all the issues with the shed, and again, that's not what's before us right now.
Okay, well, my neighbor at 78, Marco Tombano, he had written a letter, but it was too late. We didn't get much notice to prepare for this. For some reason, it seemed to go very fast, and with COVID, we haven't been able to get together as a community to, talk more about this. He says it in better ways than me. He's writing to you to say that I live at 78 Witch Crest Avenue, and while this structure does not directly affect me, it does affect the community I live in, and should this be allowed, the structures could be built in other laneways meant as passageways, not as additional space for homes. I think it presents an inherent danger as it is meant for swift passage, and that it is blocked with a structure like this. It would not allow for the residents and community to use the passage as needed. Also, the structure seems poorly constructed. I'm opposed to this structure. I think it should be removed immediately. And this has been an ongoing issue with all the homeowners, not just the co-op, all the homeowners on Witch Crest and on Lamprey Lodge. We have a series of these easements between the row houses, and if one closes, that's going to allow for everyone else to close theirs. It's just terrible. The original plans of this neighborhood, which I'm sure we can access, will show that these easements are meant to be open. There's a lady that bought a house on Lamprey Lodge, and she told me that when she bought the house, it was very clear that easement is her responsibility, but she's not allowed to close it. So why is he different? And why is he above the law? That's all that we can figure out. This issue for me has been going on for 15 years. I had a dog. I wanted to walk my dog. I'd always have to walk all the way around because this selfish man had closed off the walkway. And that's, I really hope that you don't approve this what he wants done, because he's just gobbling up the laneway based on the laneway that doesn't belong to him. It belongs to the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I start my time? It's Randy Abraham here.
Well, you're both from the same address, so you have 2.5 minutes left. Go ahead.
Yeah, sounds good. So my name is Randy Abraham. So we have information about the Toronto Building Department at 416-338-0700. So you recommend we call them in context to the shed. Can you give us a little bit more information in context?
Okay, so
the procedure?
I'm sorry, I can't. I really can't. We repeated it several times. This application that's before us is pertaining to the carport and what's above it. And everybody is upset about the shed, which is a totally separate order to comply. I have no idea where it's at. This has been in the works since June, and I imagine it got held up because of the COVID situation. You're going to have to get in touch with the inspector, and the number I gave you is what's listed on this order to comply. It's a totally separate issue from what's before us here at committee. So that's the only advice I can give you on that, because you need to speak to the building department to find out where they're at with the order to comply for the shed.
Okay, and in context order to comply, is there any other information you can give me to help us with this process of order to comply?
Well, basically, it's in the building department's hands. So I would assume they're dealing with the people that put it there, and whether or not they would need a variance or how they're looking in terms of the easements and whatnot. I don't know if they're aware of that. You're going to have to call the department because none of us can speak to this. I'm really sorry, but there's nothing more I can tell you.
All right, sounds good. We will be calling the Toronto Building Department. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
I'm sorry, but on the application, it says purpose of the application. He's saying that he wants to construct a rear ground floor addition.
Exactly. Okay, the purpose states to alter the existing two-story townhouse by legalizing a ground floor addition and a rear deck and a carport. So basically, it speaks to the rear deck and the carport. That's my understanding of this application.
On whose land, though?
Okay, I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I think that should be questioned. That should be answered.
Madam Chair, I
mean,
think maybe the big confusion is it says rear ground floor addition, and we've heard that the ground floor is the first floor, which is raised above grade. So anyway, there's nothing we can do about how it's worded, but I think that's where a lot of the confusion is probably coming from. It's not the addition that's between the two houses, it's the one that's raised above.
I'm looking at the site plan, and there's the shed's not even on the site plan here that I can see. And perhaps, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, can you just confirm that I don't see anything, a shed on these plans here, as we see. Yeah, the one attached. No, it's not here. It's not before us at all.
We made it.
So, just through you, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, to the purpose, the rear ground floor addition is referencing what? Because it's not on the plans, right? Because the carport's raised, in the purpose, I mean. Because it's not on the plans. So should that come out of the purpose?
Through you, Madam Chair, I think the rear ground floor, maybe it should say first floor, because the first floor is elevated at the back.
So the poles are considered?
So the addition is above sort of where the poles are, above the parking space where the car is shown.
Mm-hmm. But the fact that it says rear is very specific.
Yes, it's rear, it's not in the side.
Can't be mistaken by anybody to be the side shed. Okay. Okay, so I hope that clarifies. So we definitely do not have the shed before us on this application.
So this is the number you have to make.
Okay. So thank you very much. Do we have Amanda Baker on the line?
Through you, Madam Chair, we can't get a hold of Amanda Barker, but Jillian Turnbull, the next speaker, is on the line.
Okay. Ms. Turnbull, are you there?
I am.
Alrighty, can you just give us your name and address for the record, and I'll start the clock after you've done that.
Okay, my name is Jillian Turnbull, and I live at 501A Melita Crescent. I'm also a member of the co-op, so I won't add anything really to what my members have said here, except generally to say I am in agreement with everything they have said. I guess the concern is primarily that we're just a bit worried that this addition will, go forth without us having a chance to properly assess the damage that's been done to our building. So I think more than anything, we would just like to be able to get into that space in between the two buildings, see what's happened, assess it, and then let any sort of additions go forth after we've had the opportunity to do that, whether they're attached to that shed structure or to the rear part of 63. So that's all I have to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? Okay, Mr. Gluck.
Chair, would it be possible to bring back the survey plan?
Sure. Okay, do you need us to move it in a particular spot? Or?
That's fine. If you can enlarge it slightly. So the survey plan very clearly delineates the lot, and the lot has an angled west boundary, which adjoins the co-op. And there's a very small skewed space between the property and the co-op, which starts at Witch Crest Avenue, approximately 1 foot. And by the time we get to the rear of the property, it expands to 2.5 feet, 0.75 meters. And that property belongs to the co-op. The balance of the property belongs to this owner. There is no easement. So any discussion of public walkways or easements is mistaken. And the survey very clearly shows that there are 2 frame structures between the co-op and the subject property, which of course is not part of our application, but I'd like to say that the demolition of those structures has already started. It will proceed, and the owners have committed to having those removed in a reasonable amount of time. Of course, with COVID and the fact that the resident is a separated lady with an elderly father, financially challenged because they've lost their job. So their resources are somewhat depleted, and they're very sorry that the demolition is proceeding slowly, but it is proceeding and they're committed to completing it. Again, every one of the Dowling Cooperative speakers alluded to a public walkway. There is no such thing as a public walkway. There is no easement on this property. This is fully private property, and that is simply misinformation. The subject of the application, which is a little bit misleading because it says ground floor because the ground floor of the house as related to Witch Crest is in fact 1 level above the lane, but nevertheless it is still considered ground floor or first floor. So that is purely the addition that was actually part of the building when the current owners purchased it in 1989. They have of course maintained it. They've probably replaced the windows and painted it, but it has not changed since then. There's no intent to change it. All they're looking is to legalize its existence. As far as the deck and the carport is concerned, these are original construction from the time when the townhouse complex was built. And even though the PPR process has identified these as non-conforming, they are in fact legal non-conforming. Nevertheless, they are subject of the variance, so we're simply asking that the committee recognize their long existence and agree that they can stay. And that is basically our presentation.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Glock? Okay, I have one before we go into committee, which is about this request for having fees waived. Are you there, Mr. Glock?
Yes, I am.
Okay, are you?
Yes, once again.
Yeah, there's a letter here from the owner regarding leniency in waiving something about paying a double application fee. So I'm not sure.
Yes.
So what is it
Okay.
exactly you're looking for on that front?
Okay, the minor variance fee that is paid is generally doubled when when there's already been construction done and one is seeking to legalize it. So at the first application, this was not clearly recognized, and the single fee was paid, which is about $1,600. As the plan, as the application was reviewed, it became very apparent that this is a result of an order to comply and identifies the construction as already existing. So at this point, the applicant was requested to pay the double fee, the doubling of the fee, due to the fact that it's already existing, which they did with, of course, some financial hardship. And they are requesting that since this property came to them with that addition 30 odd years ago, that there could be lenience in not having to pay the double fee.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, panel members, I think we're ready to go into committee unless somebody has a question. Okay, so let's deal with the fee first. Anybody's thought on double fee versus regular fee? Ms. Hayes, you look like you're ready to speak.
I don't think that there's sufficient reason to vary from the city's policies. It's not uncommon for the committee to consider applications after the fact, and I would be concerned about us as a committee making a call on what is a standard fee structure that is applied equally by city staff. That would be my comment.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in?
I agree with Joanne.
Okay, so let's I'll take a motion then on the fees. So
I'll move a motion that the request for a reduction in the fees be denied.
okay, so motion to deny the fee reduction moved by Ms. Hayes, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? All right, that's been unanimously approved. Now to the application itself.
I'll start off. I think this got really confused and off the rails, but I think the application itself, from my perspective, is pretty straightforward. Especially given that so many of those balconies in the alley are screened in very different ways and sometimes entirely screened. So I don't think that the existence of this partially enclosed patio impacts anything. So I'm in support of approving the variances.
Okay. I agree with Mr. Reed's, all the comments he just made. I think there's no any more impact with this structure than there is with some of those really tall fences around the patio. So I didn't hear any complaints about as far as I understood what the neighbors were complaining about the existing structure we're dealing with. I understand all the structures that are attached to the building. Those are a problem, a concern. If they're out of our hands, they're not before us. Those I have an issue with. I don't have an issue with the structure that's raised above that we're dealing with today.
I would agree with my colleagues, and I think just an added point, given that this is the last unit Might have a different view if it was mid-row, but given it's the end and there is some break before the next house, the impact is lessened that way. And the immediate neighbor has not appeared before the committee to state any concerns that they have.
Okay, a motion?
Sure, I'll put forward a motion to approve the application with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Ms. Hayes? All right, motion to approve the application, moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Hayes. All in favor? Okay, the application's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Okay, next item, item number 22, 40 Manor Road West. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, correspondence from Stephen Lindy, the agent, a summary chart approving approved variances in the area. We have email correspondence from transportation, and they're okay. There is a one front yard licensed spot, and I don't show any opposition here. And I think, yeah. Mr. Lindy, are you on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Okay.
My name is Stephen Lindy.
Thank you. Panel members, I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have any questions for Mr. Lindy? Seeing none? Mr. Reed, did you have a question? You're looking very serious.
Well, sorry, yeah. It's more the sun is in my eyes. But no, I did have a question on the actual accessory structure is quite large for something where a car is not going to fit in. So if the applicant could just speak to the use of that, I'd appreciate that, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. The accessory structure is not a variance. It's just being used for storage, is my understanding. There's no road car access. There's no dwelling use in that accessory structure. It's just a person with, I guess, a lot of belongings that need to be tucked away. There's a small, seating area where it kind of curves around in the garden. And I guess due to the size of the accessory structure, it is eating up a lot of landscape space, and that is triggering a variance for the rear yard landscape space.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, Mr. Lindy, we're ready to go into committee. Is there anything else you feel we need to know that wasn't in the material that was registered?
Well, I prepared a whole list of things, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, we have all that, and I also note that you said that the FSI is 7.53 without the basement. So we did go through all the material.
Thank you.
Okay, panel members, I'm ready to go into committee.
Madam Chair, looking at the variances requested here, and I was sort of more looking at the two-story addition. They're just simply filling in a notch at the side. I see little to no impact from that construction. In terms of the garage or the structure, there are surprisingly no variances for it. It does look large on the plans, but I suppose the softscape is tied into that. But I still think there's plenty of softscape in the back where I don't feel concerned. I'm in support of the application. I don't know if my colleagues want to comment further on it, but I'm prepared to bring a motion forward for approval of the application, and there are no conditions for this one.
Okay, motion to approve, moved by Ms. Valentini, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, your application's been unanimously approved. Okay, now items 23 and 24 are actually the same. They're both halves are doing the same thing. And we have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We don't have any speakers and no further correspondence. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, can I do them at the same time? Yeah? Okay, so let's do them together. Is the agent on the line?
Oh, hi. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm here.
Okay, panel members.
This is Eddie.
Hi. I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have any questions for Mr. Perez? Seeing none. Okay, Mr. Perez, we've read all the material. We don't have any questions. Is there anything new that you want to add? If not, we'll go into committee. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, are you okay? There's nothing else you need to add that we haven't read already?
No, there's nothing else I need to add. Everything's straightforward.
Okay, so we're going to do them together. So panel members who are in committee, any comments or a motion?
I just want to say it's such a pleasure to see two neighbors like coming in hand and happy. It's really refreshing. So that's great. And I'm happy to move a motion for both. I think these are minor variances being requested and really kind of reinforce the existing pattern of garage sizes in the area. So I move to approve both application 23 and 24 with no conditions.
Okay. Ms. Hayes is seconding. All right, so motion to approve 348 McRoberts Avenue as well as 350 McRoberts Avenue. Moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Hayes. All in favor? Okay, both applications have been unanimously approved.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, same to you. Item number 25, 326 Dawlands Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, correspondence from Shahid Nanavati, the agent, and I don't show any speakers. Okay, is the agent on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
My name is Shahid Nanavati.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, again, these variances are very minor. I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have any questions of the agent? No? Okay, Mr. Nanavati, we're ready to go into committee. We've read all the materials. Is there anything we don't know that you'd like to add?
No, everything is there, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we'll take it into committee. Any comments and a motion?
Madam Chair, I think that this is reflective of many other things in the neighborhood that have done exactly the same thing. It's not out of character at all. The setbacks are in fact existing. They're just enclosing the porch. So I think it's certainly in character and would meet the 4 tests. And I would move to approve the application if my colleagues have no other comments.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Reed? Okay, motion to approve was moved by Ms. Hayes, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Your application's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Okay, item number 26, 527 Spadina Road. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, previous committee decisions affecting the property. We have nobody listed to speak other than the agent. Can you please identify yourself, sir?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Sing Han, an agent of the applicant at 527 Spadina Road.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Panel members,
Thank you.
I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have any questions of the agent? Seeing none? Okay, Mr. Bunn, we've read all the material. We do not have any questions. We're ready to make a decision. Is there anything that you need to tell us before we go into committee?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right, panel members, let's take it into committee. Do you have, any comments and or a motion?
Madam Chair, this one I feel is fairly straightforward. It's requesting some reductions in setbacks for the the deck and for the garage. We have no complaints or objections from neighbors. I don't really see this to be an issue in this circumstance, and I'm in support of the application. I'm happy to bring forward a motion, so
Sure.
I'm going to bring forward a motion for approval on this one.
Okay.
And no conditions.
All right, Mr. Reed, you're seconding. Okay, motion to approve, moved by Ms. Valentini, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, the application's been unanimously approved. Item number 27, 326 Margaretta Street. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Correspondence in support from number 322. Correspondence in opposition from 336 Margaretta, and basically the objection was that work had started and there was no follow-up after she called the city, so there weren't any planning issues specifically raised. But I don't have any speakers. Is the agent on the line?
Yes, I am. My
Okay.
name is Bruno Lopes from McRoberts Engineering.
Okay, panel members, do you need a presentation or can we go straight to questions? Do you have any questions?
I guess I would just have one question. On the site plan drawing, is there any way to improve the SAP landscaping at all? I see there's quite a large area of concrete pavers in addition to the other. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So this is pretty much an existing condition when the owners bought the house a few years ago.
Okay.
They usually use this patio and they have these old gazebos, the ones typically we buy at Canadian Tire. They got turned out and they decided to do something slightly more robust. They weren't aware that this would require a building permit, and that's the reason why we are here today.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Ms. Valentini?
So the fact that there is a canopy doesn't take away from the softscape because it's already concrete existing underneath it? Is that what you said, sir? Mr.
Yes,
Lopez?
correct. Yes,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
This is an existing condition already for a few years, so they just use whatever they had.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, Mr. Lopez, we don't have any more questions. We've read the materials. Or anything else you need to add that we haven't seen or heard yet?
Yeah, just one simple thing that actually yesterday I sent a couple letters from the owner. She actually has a disease on the skin, and the reason why they really enjoy the outside. And the only way that she can actually enjoy the outside is actually having this canopy. So unfortunately, these letters were passed to the submission time. But anyway, just for the record, these letters were submitted, actually one from her doctor.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, panel members, we'll take it into committee. Any comments and a motion?
Madam Chair, I have no concerns with this application. The softscape might have been the only issue, but it sounds like it's not being worsened by the fact that there is a canopy. And I don't see any, negative impact resulting from the canopy itself. So I don't know if my colleagues have anything to add, but if they don't, I'd like to bring forward a motion for approval.
Okay, Ms. Hayes, you're seconding? Okay, motion to approve moved by Ms. Valentini, seconded by Ms. Hayes. All in favor? Okay, your application's been unanimously approved. Okay, item number 28, 123 Balmoral Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a staff report from Forestries asking for condition number 2. Correspondence in support from number 121 and 125, so both adjacent property owners. The agent on the line?
Yes, I am. My name's Tom Sprague, and I would like to just make a couple of comments about this application, please.
Okay, go ahead.
What the owners are hoping to do is to just build a very modest addition to square off the back of the existing house. and at the same time build a rear deck that would replace an existing rear deck. With the variances that were sent out, number 3 is really the detached. It says that the altered detached dwelling is located 0.12 meters from the west line. The variance really, it should say and deck. The deck is also located because that's the setback for it. Although we're replacing in an exact same location as what presently exists, but it's important to add in that because. And as I said, as you've got the letters on file from the neighbors on both sides, so they're certainly very supportive of what's being proposed. But the deck that's being replaced is not going out as far as the existing deck, for that matter. But that should be added into the that it should state the altered dwelling and the deck will be located.
Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, can you just weigh in on that comment?
Yeah.
Just give us a second, Mr.
Yeah, it was reflected that way in the zoning notice too. It mentioned the deck.
Okay, I'm just having staff look at that because
February 22nd. So, but
I'm just going to look at the zoning notice as it was written. Just give me a moment.
Yeah.
Just stand by a second while staff
yeah,
looks it
no
up.
problem. It's sort of a.
Yeah, no worries.
Just. It mentioned the deck is.
Yeah, it's there. I see it in number 3.
So I just would like that added in, so it's part of the decision. Because they're obviously keen, they've been waiting 3 or 4 months.
So will you be adding that?
And I would say also, quite honestly, the neighbors were reviewed with everything, so there's no problem there.
So the staff will be revising that in the minutes, I guess.
Yeah, so it's just for the deck. The setback
Correct.
of 0.012 meters is just for the deck, not for the house. So we'll change.
Correct.
Because the residents would have had the site plan, they would have had that.
Yeah, we're not changing that, actually.
Okay, so we'll fix that up then for the minutes.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Panel members, did you have any questions? If not, we'll go into committee. So do we have to approve it as, hang on, do we have to approve it as amended for that variance, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, or not? Bit of a technicality, but.
I think it'll be just as an editorial change, just looking at the zoning notice.
Okay, thanks. All right, panel members, we're in committee.
Okay, I think on balance, the application is very reasonable, has support from the neighbors. Some of the requests represent existing conditions, and if my colleagues have no further comments, I'd be prepared to move a motion to approve the application subject to forestry condition number 2.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Reed. So motion to approve, including forestry number 2, moved by Ms. Hayes, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? The application has been unanimously approved. Item number 29, 150 Claremont Street. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. No further correspondence. We don't have anybody listed to speak in opposition. And is the agent on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board.
Okay. Can you just identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, Jamie Zabel, residing at 9 Belfry Avenue, Etobicoke, and agent for the homeowner.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, I don't think we need a presentation. Do any of you have any questions of the agent? No? No. Mr. Zabo, we've read the material. Panel members don't have any questions. Is there anything that is not part of the submissions that you need to add? If not, we'll go into committee.
No, that's fine, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go into committee, panel members.
I'm happy to bring a motion for approval. I think this is a very restrained application, keeping basically to the existing footprint, and the front walkout I think is representative of a pattern in the area of having basement walkouts and door alterations. So I think it's a reasonable request, and will have no negative impacts. So move to approve with no conditions.
Okay, motion to approve, moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Valentini. All in favor? Your application has been approved. All righty. The next item, item number 30, 127 Woodfield Road. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and no other correspondence. I am showing one speaker. Are they on the line?
Through you, Madam Chair, attempts were made to contact them and we can't get a hold.
Okay. All right. Is the agent on the line?
Yes, I am. My name is Nathaniel Gray, and I'm the architect and agent for the application.
Okay, panel members, I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have any questions for Mr. Gray? No? Okay. Mr. Gray, we've read the material. Is there anything you need to add outside of what you submitted?
Sure. I would just like to call your attention to a late submission of a petition with 16 neighbors supporting the application.
Okay. In the future, it'd be great if you can get it submitted in time. That way we'll get it in our agenda, but...
My apologies.
Yeah, well, it's okay. We'll make note of you having told us.
It's transitions to online things. It's my first online presentation.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it is a bit of an adjustment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Panel members, we're ready to go into committee. Any comments?
Madam Chair, I note the addition is at the front. Often that makes me, wonder. Sometimes I get concerned about that. But in this case, I noticed they're squaring off the front, and it looks to be like they're going to be in line with the neighbor. Sorry, I just lost the plan I was looking at. The neighbor at 123, so with their enclosed front porch. So I don't feel like this is going to be intrusive. There's already a pattern on the street for that kind of setback, and I don't even believe there's a variance for setback. So I don't think there's going to be any unnecessary impact on the neighbors, and I think that, in my view, that this meets the forecast for minor variance. So I'm happy to bring forward a motion for approval of the application without any conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Ms. Hayes was like a second faster. Okay, motion to approve, moved by Ms. Valentini, seconded by Ms. Hayes. All in favor? Okay, the application has been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 31, 666 Queen Street East. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plans, floor plans, and elevations. We have email correspondence from planning, and they are okay. And we don't have any speakers in opposition, and we've only got one variance before us. And I think it's interior alterations. Is the agent on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Committee. It's Will Hudson from Hudson Architecture. I'm the agent for the owner.
Okay, panel members, I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have any questions for Mr. Hudson? No questions? Mr. Hudson, we've read the materials. We don't have any questions. Is there anything you need to add that we don't already have? If not, we'll go into committee.
No, thanks. Yeah, it's so self-explanatory. I think it's basically use of the basement for the upstairs commercial space.
Okay, so we'll take it into committee. Panel members, any comments and a motion?
Madam Chair, through you, if my colleagues don't have any comments, I'd like to move a motion to approve the application. It's all interior renovations. It's using spaces already there. Planning has expressed they have no concerns with the matter. I believe that it's appropriate, and I would move a motion to approve.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Reid. So a motion to approve, moved by Ms. Hayes, seconded by Mr. Reid. All in favor? Okay, the application's been unanimously approved. Item number 32, 562 Rushton Road. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a map showing neighborhood support. We have forestry asking for condition number 1. We have 7 form letters in support from residents on Rushton and Arlington. We have opposition by residents at 390 Vaughan Road. And basically, they were saying it's obtrusive and it's already been built. I don't show anybody listed to speak. And do I have the agent on the line? Yes? Okay. You there, Mr. De Oliveira?
Hi, yes, my name is Mike De Oliveira. I'm here representing 562 Rushton Road, and I'm with Replacement Design located at 911 Davenport Road.
Okay. Panel members, do you need a presentation? No? Do you have any questions from the agent? No? No questions? No? Okay. Mr. D'Oliveira, we've got all the material. We've read the material. Is there anything you need to add before we go into committee?
Not really. I think you have everything there. The one thing I'd just like to point out from their letter, they mentioned that work has already started. We do have a permit for the additions to the back already. So this application was mostly to satisfy some remaining issues that we need to clear up.
Okay.
But we did have permission to start the majority of the work.
All right, thanks for clarifying. All right, panel members, will take it into committee for a decision.
I'll start off. I think this is a reasonable application, particularly because the rear steps in. It does go to a length that would raise some questions to me, but I think the fact that it's sculpted to step in towards the inside of the lot, that does a lot to minimize some of the impacts. And the front part, I think, is pretty benign as well. And the variances themselves are quite minor being requested. So I'll move to approve the application subject to urban forestry condition 1.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Okay, motion to approve, including forestry condition number 1, moved by Mr. Reid, seconded by Ms. Valentini. All in favor? Okay, the application's been approved unanimously. The next item is item number 33, 381 St. Clarens Avenue. Okay, we have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. I don't show any speakers and no further correspondence. And we're looking at 1 variance here for floor space index. Is the agent on the line?
Yeah, good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Adam Brander, and my address is 49 Bolton Avenue in Toronto.
Okay, thank you. I don't think we need a presentation. Panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Brander? Seeing none. Mr. Brander, we've read the material. Is there anything you want to add before I take this into committee for a decision?
No.
Okay, thanks. Okay, panel members will take it into committee for a decision.
I can start. I think what's being requested is reasonable. I think that the FSI is not out of line with what appears to currently exist in the area, and I have no concerns with the application. I'd be prepared to move a motion to approve it. If there's no other comments, then that would be my motion to approve the application with no conditions.
Okay, motion to approve, moved by Ms. Hayes, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, the application has been approved.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is item 34, 104 St. Hubert Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 form letters in support from residents on St. Hubert, including both adjacent neighbors at 102 and 106. I don't show any speakers other than the agent. Okay, can the agent please identify himself for the record?
Good evening, Madam Chairman. My name is Frank Tahiri from Six Design Architects from 719 Wayne Street.
Okay, I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have any questions, panel members? Seeing none. Did you have a question, Ms. Valentini, or no? Are you okay?
I just thought, I looked up because I thought I heard nothing and I thought we lost connection.
No, I
Sorry.
was looking at you, looking at
I
your
was like,
screen,
we're down
so
again.
I thought you had a question. All right.
No, I was confused because then the headphones were silent, so.
Okay.
I'm happy to weigh in since my mic's on though. I feel that in this case, I don't have any concerns with this application. I was just refreshing my memory with the plans.
Okay.
And they are adding a second story and a rear 2-story, or they're adding a second story. Let me correct that because there's already a 1-story at the back. So they're topping up what's existing. And I don't have any concerns with this. I was looking for the FSI. I don't think this is a huge, out of character for what's in the neighborhood. So I'm in support of the application. I do notice that one of the adjacent neighbors is in support at 106 and 100 is also in support. So I'm happy to bring a motion forward unless my colleagues want to comment.
Okay, before you do that, because I actually wasn't in committee, I just want to make sure, Mr. Tahiri, is there anything you need to add? We've read the materials, so we're ready to move a motion.
No, basically we explained the project to both of the neighbors and also a couple of other neighbors that we found available on the street, and everybody was happy with this application. Nobody had any specific concerns, and it's a fairly straightforward house. We're just topping it up.
Okay, so we'll go into committee then, and go ahead, Ms. Valentini, with your motion.
Sorry about that.
No
I
worries.
jumped ahead, guns a-blazing.
That's okay.
I'll just reiterate what I just said, that the neighbors are in support and they're topping it up, so I don't think there's a big impact here. So I'd like to bring a motion forward for approval of the application without any conditions.
Okay, and that's seconded by Ms. Hayes. All in favor? Your application's been unanimously approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Same to you. Item number 35, 415 Roncesvalles Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a covering letter from Mr. Galbraith, the agent, previous decisions affecting the property, correspondence in support from 402 to 404 Roncesvalles, 2186 Dundas, as well as 413 Roncesvalles, which is adjacent. I'm not showing any speakers other than the agent. Are you on the line?
Good afternoon.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Sean Galbraith. I'm a planner here on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, we have a late speaker that was registered, or one that was omitted from our list.
Oh, okay. Do you have a name by any chance?
Through you, Madam Chair, the speaker is Adam Bialzik and Janina Bialzik.
Can you spell the name, the last name?
I've also unmuted them.
Hello, Adam Bielczyk here.
Okay, just hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
So Adam, A-D-A-M, last name B-I-A-L-C-Z-Y-K, and also Janina, J-A-N-I-N-A, same last name.
Okay, so can I just have the speaker for a second? Adam, are you there? Just want to find out if
Yes, I am.
Are you speaking in opposition to this application or in support?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
In opposition, Madam
All right.
Chair.
Hang on. Mr. Galbraith, because we have an opposition speaker, can you give us a presentation, please? I'll start the clock when you start speaking.
Thank you. The application is pretty straightforward. The existing building that is under construction right now is being done entirely with permits. The only question for the committee today is should it have one parking space or two parking spaces. There was a variance application a few months ago that reduced the number of parking spaces required for the property from 2 to 1. Unfortunately, we had intended to go for 0 parking spaces at that time, but there was an error in the application and we didn't catch it until it was too late. And we didn't want to waste the committee's time by requesting a deferral, so we just submitted a new application to correct it, which is what is before you today. In our opinion, the space that it would be used for a single parking space is better utilized as additional space for the commercial unit at the ground floor. No changes to the actual structure are proposed other than an interior change to the rear adjacent to the lane for the parking versus interior space. But the actual structure is being built entirely in accordance with the existing building permits.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Let me see. Panel members, do you have a question now before we go to the opposition? Okay, we might have some after, but we'll have you back to speak to the concerns raised in any case. Okay.
Great.
So Adam, are you there now?
Yes, I am, Madam Chair.
All right, so you have 5 minutes combined. Are you doing all the speaking or is Janine speaking as well?
Yes, I am, Madam Speaker, just myself.
Okay, so I'll start the clock now. Go ahead.
So, Madam Chair and members of the board, I'm representing Janina Bielczyk, who is the owner of 417 Roncesvalles Avenue. That's the building directly to the north, adjacent to this building that's already been constructed. I've actually submitted some photos. I'm sorry they were submitted late. I wasn't sure when I needed to actually have them submitted due to this being online. But if you take a look at the photos that I submitted, you'll notice that the rear lane is fairly small. There's basically no space to get around, and during the construction or during regular loading and offloading, people are actually parking in front of our space, which is the parking garage to the right, and we have no access to our parking garage. There needs to be some sort of parking allowed so that when garbage is being taken outside or loading and offloading to either the commercial space or the built-up space where tenants are moving in and out, there needs to be something that will not actually block either our garage or the laneway. If you take a look at the photos, you'll clearly see that, and I have quite a few more photos on a daily basis, that our garage has been blocked and the area is blocked by a lot of parking in the area. So that's basically my opposition to this at this point in time. The second issue has to do with blocking in the emergency staircase, but we'll deal with that separately, I guess, because this is not part of this. Okay?
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Galbraith, can you speak to the issue raised, please?
So the variances requested are in keeping with other properties in the area, 402, 404, which is required 2 parking spaces and 0 were approved. 406, Roncesvalles, again, 2 spaces approved. 2 spaces required, 0 spaces approved. The concerns regarding blocking a lane are best handled by bylaw enforcement or by parking services from the city. There's ample street parking available in the area, and if any blockage of the lane was done, it would be on a very short-term basis, and we do not believe it'd be an inconvenience. But parking, we assume, would be done in accordance with, including loading with city requirements.
Okay, panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Galbraith? No? Okay, is there anything else you want to add, sir, before we go into committee?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, thanks. All right, panel members, we'll take it into committee for a decision.
I'll jump in. I think this is a reasonable request, and honestly, I think the benefit of adding 2 more residential units at the expense of without parking is better than not doing those. And I think the impacts of them are limited and can be dealt with in other ways, particularly because this is a well-served area by transit, streetcar up to the subway. So I move to approve the application with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Okay, motion to approve the application moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Valentini. All in favor? Okay, the application has been unanimously approved. Thank you. Okay, before we start the next time slots, do you want to take a break, a 5-minute break or so? Okay, so we'll take 5 minutes and then we'll start the next time slot. So the next application will be 44 Peterborough. Okay. The next item is item number 36, 44 Peterborough Avenue. We have before us a copy of the survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a justification letter from Top Notch Renovations. We have correspondence from community planning, and they didn't have anything to say other than that they were okay with it. Transportation comments, and we had a letter from the local councillor who supports the application. Correspondence in support from number 42 and 46, both adjacent properties, as well as number 47 and 27 Auburn Avenue. We have correspondence in opposition from number 45 Auburn Avenue, not showing any speakers other than the agent. Is that right? Yeah, just the agent, right? You don't have a, do you have?
Francesca Pinocchi.
I'm sorry?
Through you, Madam Chair, there's one speaker, Francesca
Oh,
Pinocchi.
Francesca Pinocchi. I'm looking at the wrong spot, sorry. Okay, is he on the line, or she? Okay. Is the agent there?
Yes, good day.
Hi, can you please identify yourself for the record?
Sure thing. My name's Alex Ottens. I am the representative on file. I'm also the builder and one of the owners.
Okay, can I, it looks like the speaker's in support. Can you put her on the line first, please?
Through you, Madam Chair, I apologize. They just dropped off the call.
Oh, okay. All right, panel members, it looks like the speaker is in support, but she has dropped off the call. In the meantime, maybe you can try getting her back, and we'll just proceed. Do you have any questions for the agent, Mr. Ottens? We do not. All right, you want to give one shot to the speaker, and we'll just wait for a second. In the meantime, Mr. Ottens, we've read all the material. We're going to try the speaker again. Do you have anything to add other than what was submitted that you want us to know?
Sure thing. I mean, I have presented the presentation, but I just wanted to point out that the single letter of objection has since been revoked, and there was correspondence with the application technician and the neighbor that opposed, and they formally revoked the objection letter, and that has been uploaded to the AIC as of this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like me to proceed with the presentation?
No,
or,
we don't need a presentation. We're just trying to get a hold of the speaker who was listed because they dropped off the call, and the members
Sure
also
thing.
don't have any questions.
Madam Chair, I changed my mind. Can I ask a question?
Okay, we do have a question here in the meantime, so go ahead, Ms. Valentini.
Thank you. I noticed there's a note from transportation requiring or requesting that the plans be revised, that the garage be set back 2.5 meters from the center line of the lane. Is the garage not already there and existing?
Yeah, I think that's actually an old note. We originally were thinking of rebuilding the garage, but that is not in the current application.
Oh.
So, yeah, so I'm not sure. That's an old note, and we have removed any plans for the garage in our current.
Okay, my mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, the note's actually from January, so I guess you dealt with it in the meantime between then and now. Okay.
That's right.
Trying again. Do we have the speaker on the line?
Francesca Pinocchi, are you there?
It's good, thank you.
So through you, Madam Chair, we are not getting a response from Francesca.
All right, panel members, we're unable to get the speaker on the line. I do have that individual listed as the supporter, and they're at 42 Peterborough Avenue, so that's the adjacent neighbor. So we can take it into committee then. Any comments and a motion?
I think that this application is reasonable. Certainly, it's a tight lot. First you're concerned about additions to the front, but when you look at the the lot, current property is set way far back from the immediate neighbor as well as the neighbor across the lane. So I think what's being proposed is indeed reasonable and not out of character what already exists with the neighbors on both sides. Those are my thoughts, and I would move towards approving the application.
Okay, I see a lot of nodding, so do you want to make that a motion?
So I'll do
then?
okay, certainly. So I would move to approve the application as I believe what's being proposed is appropriate, meets within the context of the neighborhood, and satisfies the 4 tests under the Planning Act.
Okay.
And no conditions.
All right, and Mr. Reed is seconding, so motion to approve, moved by Ms. Hayes, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? The application has been unanimously approved. Item number 37, 120 Roxboro Street East. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, covering letter from Mr. Park, the solicitor, including presentation materials, email correspondence from Heritage Planning, and they were looking for the standard condition in their March 24th report. We have, they also sent a formal report to that effect. Correspondence in support from Jane Pepino at 147 Roxboro Street East. And I'm showing one speaker. Mr. Park, are you there?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you just formally identify yourself for the record?
Sorry, Jason Park, Divine Park LLP, we're counsel for the applicant.
Okay, thanks. Before I go to the members, I don't know that we need a presentation. I don't think we do, but I just wanted to talk to you about the purpose, because the way it's worded now, it's duplicating the north. It says like constructing a front 2-story addition, a rear and north side 1-story addition, and then again it says a north side 1-story addition and a basement addition. Now, staff is giving me some alternate wording here that they're suggesting it should read to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a 2-story west side addition, a 1-story west side addition, and then in brackets, including the garage, and a 1-story north side addition.
Madam Chair, I don't have a problem with that revised wording.
Okay. So you're okay with that revised wording then? It's just a little clearer.
Yes.
Okay, panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Park before I go to the opposition? Okay, so Mr. Park, I'm going to ask you to do a brief presentation, no more than 5 minutes, because we do have a speaker in opposition, and I'll start the clock when you begin speaking.
Madam Chair, I did provide a presentation, but and we can pull it on up if you'd like, but
I mean, I can,
panel.
if you think it's been more beneficial, I can go to the opposition first, and then you can address the questions. So unless they would need do you want to do that? Unless they need a full presentation, I'll come back to you.
So that is fine with me.
Okay. All right. Do you have Heather Cartwright on the line?
Through you, Madam Chair, attempts were made to contact Heather, but we couldn't get a hold of her.
Okay, well, I think if you want to try one more time, I'll go to the members. So we don't have the speaker. We're going to attempt one more time. Mr. Park, in the meantime, I'll see if the panel members have any questions.
Chair, I don't have any questions. I thought the presentation materials were very fulsome and explained all the issues very clearly. So I think I have a good grasp on what's going on here.
Yeah, agreed. I thought they were very good. So no, we can't get a hold of the people listing to speak. So Mr. Park, it doesn't look like the panel members have any questions. Your supporting material was great, explained everything clearly. So if there's anything you have to add before we go into committee, I'll give you the opportunity to do so now.
We've had the opportunity to review the HPS comment, including the condition. We have no issue with the condition. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, panel members, we'll take it into committee for a decision.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to weigh in on this one. As I stated earlier, I think the presentation materials were excellent. They clearly showed where the additions are being proposed. I think the bulk of the addition is going between the garage and the existing dwelling, kind of squaring it off. I see little to really no impact with this proposed addition, and nor with the small additions at the back. I think they're in keeping with, the area, and in fact, this is a large lot. So I'm in support of the application. I think that it meets the four tests in my view, and I'm happy to bring a motion forward unless my colleagues have any questions or concerns. No. So I'll bring a motion forward for approval, and it'll be subject to the conditions set out in the Heritage Department memo that Mr. Devine had spoken about, that he's in agreement with.
Okay, motion to approve, including the conditions in the March 24th Heritage Report. Do I have a seconder? Okay, so that was moved by Ms. Valentini, seconded by Mr. Reid. All in favor? Okay, the application has been unanimously approved.
Great. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Same to you. Thanks. Okay. Item number 38. A, B, and C. We have before us a copy of the draft plan of survey, copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a location map of decision of the area, including lot studies showing similar frontages and lot areas, as well as photographs on Floyd and Burleigh Avenue, 22 previous decisions affecting the properties on Gowan Avenue, Arundel, Broadview, Dilworth, Fulton, Browning, Mortimer, Carlaw, Westwood, Logan, and Floyd. Email correspondence from community planning. And we have an engineering report dated the 24th of November. They're asking for conditions. We have the standard consent conditions, and forestry is asking for condition number 3 on parts 1 and 2. We have correspondence in opposition from number 72, which is the adjacent home, and I'm showing 3 speakers in opposition. Do we have all 3 of them?
3, Madam Chair. 2 are present. I'm not able to reach Katerina Nebezna.
Okay, thanks. Okay, is the agent, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon. My name is Leo Mastandrea. I'm the agent for the owners at 74 Floyd.
Okay, so we have 3 speakers. I'm sorry, 2. We'll try the 3rd one again, but they've dropped off the call at the moment. So I'll need you to do a presentation, no more than 5 minutes, and I'll start the clock when you begin speaking.
Yes, so we spoke to community planning, and they don't have any concerns regarding this proposal. Engineering and development neither have any concerns, and neither does forestry. We did a lot study. If you could turn to page 2 on my presentation submission, we have 80 lots with similar frontage and lot area within the immediate area, and 6 are on Floyd itself. The variances requested are consistent with the built form as well as the decisions approved at the committee. And we are I believe, in need of housing, and I believe this is a perfect opportunity to add an additional lot which will not adversely affect the neighborhood. In regards to the variances themselves, variance number 1, so we do comply with the frontage, and we're just 4.45 meters shy on the lot area, which is also consistent with the built form. The front yard setback is also consistent with, if we look at the neighbor at number 76, he has 4.24 frontage, and we're going to have a little bit more at 5.27. So I believe it's consistent. The number 3, our side yard setback. So we do comply on the exterior sides, but the 0.6 is between our own properties in the middle. So I believe it's also consistent and minor in nature. The main wall height is also minor in nature. We're 0.85 above what we're permitted, and it's also consistent with the built form and approved decisions. In regards to the coverage, so the coverage is also consistent with approved decisions and the built form, but the reason why we're at 47, if you go to my architectural drawings on A1A, our numbers come up to 39.78. And the zoning examiner, I just spoke to him, and basically he's saying that because our platforms exceed 5%, it's added to our coverage, and that's why we're at 47. But even at 47, it is consistent. The floor space index, we're asking for 1.03, and that's including the basement. If we remove the basement, you can see also on my site data, we're only at 78.55. But with the basement, we're at 1.03, which is also consistent with the built form. Number 7 and 8 have to do with the platforms, and I just believe they're minor in nature. And number 9, regarding the driveway, we have a positive slope, so that's more of a technical issue.
Okay.
If you have any questions?
Well, let's see. Panel members, do you have questions now for Mr. Mastandrea, or do you want to hold them till after the opposition? Oh, Ms. Valentini, go ahead.
I just have a small question. It's relating to the driveway slope. And so even though you're requesting a variance for that, I noticed in the engineering comments that you need to submit with your revised drawings that you have a positive slope of between 2 to 4%. You're still going to be able to comply with that, even though you're getting a variance?
Yes, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we go to the opposition? Okay, we'll have you back after we hear from the opposition. All right, do I have Christina Voronakis on the line? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
You're sounding very distant. Are you live streaming in the background? Because there's a lot of echoing happening. Maybe turn the volume down if you have something else on.
Christina, can you hear us? So if you have the live stream in the background, if you can mute that, and also turn your volume up on your phone.
Through you, Madam Chair, we will try to contact the speaker via the phone number provided.
Can I go to the next speaker then?
Yeah.
In the meantime, okay. So if you're listening, Ms. Voronakis, we'll call you back, and I'm going to move in the meantime to the next speakers, which are Darlene and Lyle Burns. Are they on the line? Okay. Same thing. Sorry, can't hear you either.
I have no clue what to do.
Hi, Darlene and Lyle. If you can turn up your microphone volume so we can hear you better, or speak into your microphone better.
It's muted. My microphone is muted.
Well, now you're really coming.
We can hear you,
well.
We can hear you.
Great. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So
Perfect.
can you just give us your name and address for the record, and who's speaking? Are both of you speaking, or one of you?
One of us.
Okay.
I am Darlene Burns, and I will be speaking on behalf of the Vernakis family.
Oh, okay.
They've requested assistance, okay?
Yeah.
We're sitting together.
Okay.
Right now.
So just to be sure, so hang on, I haven't started the clock yet. Okay, so we do not need to keep trying Christina Vernakis because she's with you and you're speaking on their behalf. Okay, great. So I'm going to start the clock when you start speaking then, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Major concern for Ms. Renakis and her family is that the current lot lines remain intact and that there is no expropriation of their land when the new building or buildings goes in. They hope that the fence, they want that the fence will stay intact and that, the excavation will not come close enough to cause the fence to fall, because this happened to one of our other neighbors. Actually, it's happened to two of our neighbors. So that is a main concern. You have the 1975 survey done on Lot 9, and they want to ensure that the builder abides 100% by that. And the secondary issue I think that they're concerned about is that we can't tell from the proposals if this is a 2-story build above the ground or a 3-story build above the ground. We understand that Plan A and B says 3-story, but are we talking about with the basement or are we talking about 3 stories above ground? Because if it were 3 stories above ground, we think it would be kind of unsightly and it would block light to their backyard. And I guess the other concern is just that severing the lot in two will cause the new builds to look a lot like townhomes. And even though there's something similar in the neighborhood, those are on larger lots. For instance, across the street, it's a 50-foot lot that's severed in two, not a 40-foot lot. So, yeah, and the flat roof isn't as lovely as the peaked roof. So all those things are concerns. And we're not against the new build at all. We're just hoping to ensure that it doesn't affect the east boundary line, in particular for the Benakis home.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? No? Yes, Ms. Valentini?
A question, but just a point of clarification in terms of the plans. I think she questioned whether or not it's 2 stories or 3 stories. And when I look at the plans, there's the garage at the main grade, and then there's 2 stories above that. So it does, in a way, read as 3 stories, just for her information.
Okay.
Right, but okay, so are there 2 stories above the main floor or 1 story above the main floor?
Mr. Massandrea, are you there? Can you answer the question, please? Did we lose the agent?
Sorry, Leo, you should be unmuted.
Okay, I can hear you now. Can you just answer the last question from the neighbor?
Yes, if you could refer to A8 of my architectural drawings. So basically we have 1 story above the ground. So we have the basement level, ground floor level, and a 2nd floor level. So there's not a 3rd story. It's more of a technical issue only because we have more above grade than below grade. That's why the basement is considered the 1st story. But if you look at the site elevation, we have a ground floor and we have a 2nd floor.
Okay, does that end?
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Okay. All right.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Mr. Massandrea, can you speak to the other issues raised? I know they're not things before us, but just very quickly regarding the fence between number 76 and you guys.
Yes, we will maintain the fences. We have no problem to do that. We don't want to expropriate any land from anyone.
Wonderful.
Okay, and you won't be trespassing during construction either. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, panel members, do you have any more questions of the agent? Okay, seeing none, We'll take it into committee. And just before we do that, you weren't able to reach Katerina, were you?
That's correct. We were not able to get a hold of her.
Okay. So yes, we'll take it into committee for discussion and a motion.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I just have one question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, we'll come out of committee.
Sorry, I apologize, sorry. On Floyd Avenue itself, are there any lots that are the size that you're proposing?
Yes, if you go to page 2 of my submission, there's 6 lots highlighted on Floyd that are similar or smaller than our lots.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I missed that. Thank you.
No worries.
Okay, any further questions before we go back into committee? No? Okay. Any discussion and a motion?
I'll start. I think this is a pretty reasonable proposal. I think that the size of the lots are really not, they're just undersized. They're not significantly undersized. And I think that the buildings proposed fit in them well enough and they're not trying to push too much GFA, I don't think. So I do believe that the variances being requested are minor, and I like that the setbacks on the exterior sides of both of these lots are compliant. I think that's a good effort, and I think this represents some gentle intensification, so I'll support it.
Just further to that, I think just down at, the head streets of, when you enter in Floyd coming from the west, as illustrated in the applicant submissions, there is, quite a large, almost full block of homes that are of quite a height, and the density and the massing is present in the neighborhood. Maybe not specifically right on that short stretch of Floyd, but I would agree that it's what's being proposed is reasonable, and I too like the fact that the side yards to the neighboring properties are being maintained with the proposal.
Okay, any other question or any other comments? Okay, who wants to do the honors of moving a motion?
I can do it. Can we just do it all as one, please?
Yeah, I think so.
I move approval of 38 ABC, subject to the development engineering conditions and urban forestry condition 3 for parts 1 and 2. And I think that's it.
Standard consent conditions.
Standard consent conditions as well, yes.
Okay, so the motion as described by Mr. Reed. Do I have a seconder? Ms. Hayes? All in favor? Okay, the application has been unanimously approved.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks, same to you. Okay. The next item is 403 Church Street. We have before us a copy of the draft plan of survey, copy of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, covering letter from Mr. Peter Joseph Jakovic, the agent, proposed easements over retained and conveyed lands, legal description of the subject lands. Who is that? Project data sheet and strata reference plan parts listing, planning rationale prepared by Bousfields, presentation materials prepared by Mr. Jakovic, site-specific bylaw from the OMB. We have email correspondence from community planning. We have, I don't think we have any conditions or reports other than engineering had a January 31st report, but I believe that's all been satisfied. And Let's see. That's everything. I'm not showing anybody speaking in opposition. I'm showing Ms. McDougall, and also the owner or planner are available if we have any questions. So I know there's a ton of variances here, but I think a lot of them are technical. But if I could have the solicitor please identify herself for the record.
It's Cynthia McDougall on behalf I'm at McCarthy Tetro. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Let me see if we need a full presentation or if the members have specific questions. Do any of the members have any questions about this application? Okay, Ms. McDougall, we've read through all your presentations and your planning rationale. So the members don't have any questions, and I don't believe we need a presentation. So we're ready to take it into committee. Is there something that you want to add that wasn't covered?
Just to thank you if you're taking it into committee, and that I was practicing because this was my first appearance at the Committee of Adjustment.
Oh, okay.
So at least I could say that I've done it. So thank you, and I hope the presentation was clear.
Yeah, the presentation was good. Thanks. And I think I can echo that.
And great.
Yeah,
and you did notice that there was an amended legal description because the condo's already been registered. So I think you have all the material.
Yeah, I remember going through all of it, and I have a lot of notes here, and everything looked fine to me. Yeah, I have disposition to multiple owners in my notes and a bunch of other things, as I think my colleagues do as well, which is why I think we're ready to go into committee if you're okay with that.
And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I didn't see any questions, so let's go into committee then. Okay, any comments and a motion?
I think what we're seeing here and the explanation that has been provided has been quite clear in what are sometimes these very complicated severances for easements and commercial components and parking, and they've been thoroughly also reviewed by engineering, and there's no objection there. And based on the submissions that we've received, I believe it is appropriate, and I would proceed to approve this if there's no other comments from my colleagues.
Okay.
No other comments?
No.
Okay. So I would move then for. See, gotta get the right. Sorry, lost my page here a minute. So I would move for approval of the severance based subject to the standard conditions, and engineering has no objection, and I believe that they are in fact reasonable and appropriate development.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Okay, I'll go with Ms. Valentini. Motion to approve, moved by Ms. Hayes, seconded by Ms. Valentini, and I don't believe there's any conditions. So all in favor? Okay, the application's been unanimously approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
All righty, the next item is item number 40, 225 Brunswick Avenue. We have before us.
Through you, Madam Chair, sorry, we're having some technical issues right now. Could we take a?
Yeah, we can take, how long do you need? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? 10? Okay. All right, unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties, so we have to take a break.
Do we know how long that's going to be?
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Do I click on the three dots now?
Hi, committee members. Can you hear me? If you can you give me a thumbs up? Great, thanks so much.
Hang on. I think I probably got logged out now. Nope. Okay. So I'm okay to start then? All right. Sorry about the delay. We're now starting with item number 40, 225 Brunswick Avenue. We have before us a copy of the minutes from the October 8th public hearing, a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a covering letter from Kendra Fitz-Randolph, the agent. We have a planning consultant's report prepared by Sean Galbraith, parking opinion letter prepared by Nixon Chan, LEA Consulting, arborist report and tree preservation plan prepared by Green Print Consulting Arborists, presentation materials prepared by the agent. We have staff reports from community planning. They're asking for a condition. And we have a report from, we have correspondence from urban forestry as well as heritage preservation. And there's no conditions from either one of those. We have correspondence in support from 264 Major Street, 224 Robert, 276 Major, 286 Gordon, and 287 Brunswick. 5 form letters in support, 3 of them on Major Street, 1 on Euclid, and 1 on Kendall. We have correspondence expressing concern from the Harvard Village Ratepayers Association. We have a lot of opposition letters from Sussex Avenue, Brunswick Avenue, Major Street, Robert Street, and let's see if there's any other streets. No, they are all from all of those streets. We have another 45 form letters in opposition signed by owners and occupants of Brunswick, Major, Robert Street, and Sussex Avenue. And I'm showing the solicitor, Mr. Bronskill, is speaking, and that Mr. Galbraith and Mr. Chevelle are also available to answer questions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe 12 opposition speakers. Do you have all of them?
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe all speakers are present.
Okay. Mr. Bronskill, are you there?
I am, Madam Chair. I know there is one item after us, and given the number of speakers, we would be fine if the committee wanted to go to that item first, so that I'm not sure that there's as much interest in that application, and that applicant and agent and folks could be released before we go through this item, but obviously, Madam Chair, I'm in your hands.
Well, I think that's really kind of you. So yeah, if we only show one person in opposition or interest. So yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great if we can deal with that item first.
Oh, absolutely, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, panel members, we're going to go to item number 41, which is 82 Dearborn Avenue. We have before us a copy of the minutes from the December 15th meeting, copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and forestry is asking for condition number 2. I am showing one speaker. Staff, do you have the speaker for item number 41?
Through you, Madam Chair, we're currently trying to get in contact with them again. For the time being, we're not allowed to, we couldn't reach them.
Okay. Can you give it a shot? Because I'm actually standing down another item just to deal with this one right now. Okay, panel members, Mr. Kuhn, are you on the line? Guys, is the agent on the line? And can I also get you to please try the speaker again? Because otherwise, like we skip the other item so that these people wouldn't have to wait potentially a long time.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, we are trying to get in touch with Norbert and Haiti von Diergaard.
Okay, and then in the meantime, is Mr. DeCuna on the line in case?
I am on the line.
Hi.
Okay, Grant, can you identify yourself for the record? Are you there?
I am here.
Okay. Panel members.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's kind of intermittent.
Mr. DeCuna, if you can refrain from muting yourself, we will be the ones unmuting and unmuting. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. DeCuna? Ms. Valentini.
Just a really quick, simple one. I wasn't clear why this was deferred the last time.
Oh, what happened was, through you, Madam Chair, there was apparently a variance that the initial zoning examiner had meant to put down, and we found out that it wasn't in just prior to our hearing, in fact. So the hearing had to be deferred. So that we suddenly
So there's an extra
received.
variance?
There was a variance. I believe it's the FSI variance that was not on originally. It
Oh,
went
I
from 3
see.
to 4, and
Yep.
we didn't know about it. She said she apologized. She said, "Paul, I thought about it. We didn't put it. She had to defer it, or she had to send us the new zoning variance, and then of course we had to defer it." That was
Okay, thank you. I see that change now. I compared them and didn't see it when I
No
looked at the
worries. Thank you so
materials.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. DeCuna, we're still trying to reach the neighbors at number 80. Have you had any conversations with them?
Yes, the owner, Corey Pozazarski, has spoken to the neighbors at number 80 that are attached to him. He's also spoken to the neighbors to the east. And the initial conversation with the husband of the neighbor at 80 was quite positive a number of months ago. And but a couple of days ago, the neighbor's wife mentioned that she may want to speak at the hearing, but otherwise, my client did reach out to both neighbors, and his understanding is that it was positive from both sides.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair, I have Norbert and Haiti on the line.
Okay, Mr. DeCuna, we have them on the line now, so let me just say, find out if they're in support, and if not, what their issue is, and then I'll come back to you, okay?
Understood.
All right, is this Mr. Deargard?
If you are satisfied with your message, press 1. To listen to your message, press 2. To erase and re-record.
So through you, Madam Chair, we're not able to reach Norbert or Haiti.
Did you have them on the line a second ago?
It may have went to voicemail, which is why I see them as
Oh,
connected.
okay, so you didn't actually speak with them?
No.
Okay, so we've tried at least 3 times now. All right, so, okay. Panel members, do you have any other questions for Mr. DeCuna?
Just have one question, Chair, with respect to the rear soft landscaping. Looking at the site statistics, it currently says there's 0.7 square meters, so that's not changing at all, is it? Or 7 square meters, sorry. It just looks like when I looked at the site statistics that the soft landscaping in the rear was not changing from what currently exists. I just wanted that confirmation.
Do we have the agent?
In the condition that it's there, so we were not modifying it, making it worse in any way whatsoever. Through you, Madam Chair, sorry about that.
Okay, I think we missed part of what you said. Can you just repeat it, please?
What I said, Madam Chair, was that what the existing condition, the existing backyard is as is, and we are not making the landscaping conditions there any different than what they presently are. If anything, at some point down the road, the clients may add a little bit of planting along the fence line, but as of right now, things are status quo and we're not making things any worse whatsoever.
Okay, so the variance does represent existing conditions.
Yes,
okay,
it does.
thank you.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Panel members, do you have any further questions? Okay, let's take it into committee then. Any discussion?
I can start. I think this is a pretty reasonable request that's come in, and it's only a marginal increase over the existing depth of the house. It does go up another story, and because of the geometry of it, it looks a bit maybe more than it is, I think, with the angled roof. But I think in some it's minor, and I don't see it negatively impacting the neighborhood.
Okay, anybody else have any comments? If not, we'll take a
Okay,
motion.
so I'm happy to move a motion then. Lisa, do you have something to say? Or no? Okay. Move a motion to approve subject to urban forestry condition number 2, please.
Okay,
Because of my previous comments.
do I have a seconder? Ms. Valentini? All right, motion to approve moved by Mr. Reed, including forestry number 2, seconded by Ms. Valentini. All in favor? Okay, your application has been unanimously approved. Okay, so let's go back to item number 40, which is 225 Brunswick Avenue. Are you there, Mr. Bronskill?
I am, Madam Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear. So I'll give you 5 minutes. When you begin speaking, I'll start the clock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As noted, my name is David Bronskill here as agent for the applicant. Excited to be presenting a proposal for the type of small-scale multi-residential project that we need to have in our neighborhoods to increase housing options and availability in the city. We're here with the full support of all city departments to seek approval of the proposal, which would convert the existing heritage 2.5-story commercial building into a 7-unit apartment building. While the property today is not listed or designated, it has been treated as heritage by our client in discussions with Heritage Preservation Services. You will note the report on file that indicate they are satisfied now with the proposal. We're also aware of the proposed condition from City Planning, and we're accepting and supportive of that condition. This is an adaptive reuse of the building. Our client has been working with city staff actually since 2018, and through those discussions have been able to reduce some of the variances. I would note there also has been consultation through meetings with the community and neighbors, although as you note from those listed to speak after me, consensus has clearly not been achieved. This is the 6th revision. What is essentially proposed are interior alterations, a south side 2nd floor terrace facing Sussex, and a 3rd floor addition. There are 4 units that occupy the basement and 1st floor, and then 3 units in the 2nd and 3rd floor. In terms of unit distribution, 6 of the 7 units are 1-bedroom units, and the 7th is a 2-bedroom unit. 9 variances are before you, notably none for height in meters, none for height in stories, none for required setbacks. And I've grouped the variances into depth, FSI, landscaping and storage, and parking. And a key theme in my presentation to you is that 8 of the 9 requested variances, frankly, are due to the size of the lot and the size of the footprint of the existing building. In addition to the positive staff report in front of you, as you noted, you also have the extensive planning justification from Mr. Galbraith. The opinion evidence, therefore, before you, both from the city and from a land use planner retained by our client, is that the requested variances meet all 4 tests in the Planning Act. The existing building is essentially built out to all 4 property lines. And as many of the letters in opposition and support have noted, existing buildings like this actually represent an extraordinary opportunity for city building. It's an atypical building in a neighborhood that frankly does not have a prevailing physical character. If you've walked through the neighborhood or even from any of the visual materials provided, it's a neighborhood characterized by a variety of residential dwelling types, architectural styles, a range of built forms, setbacks, and replacement dwelling units. It is consistently inconsistent in its character, but desirable nonetheless. In our presentation materials, we've got some renderings that we've shown of what is proposed, and key changes from working with city planning staff and heritage staff include the pitched roof, windows angled to limit views to the north, landscaping maintained around the property, and garbage storage areas included on site. There have also been some changes to address certain concerns from the neighbors, including HVAC equipment being located inside the building, increased soft landscaping, and retention of all trees. I'll quickly address the variances. In terms of density, the existing building already exceeds the zoning standard. And if this were any other type of residential dwelling in the neighborhood, the basement would not count, but the basement is counted here. If the basement were excluded, the existing would be 1.46, the proposed would be 2.428. And the additional density that is being deployed on the 3rd floor, I'd submit to you as being sensitively deployed in a manner that does not trigger a variance for height or the number of stories. Length for this dwelling is not regulated, it's only depth. And the existing building already has a depth of 19.03 meters. And Mr. Galbraith goes through other depth variances on Brunswick itself. In terms of landscaping, the existing building occupies 94% of the lot area today, and the proposal would actually increase the amount of landscaping from 6.41% to 7.47%. For the garbage enclosure, there is no dedicated room inside the building, but partially enclosed garbage structures are proposed to be located in the landscaped boulevard along Sussex Avenue to achieve a similar result. In terms of bike parking, 7 spaces are provided in front of the building along Brunswick, but because they cannot be located on the lot, a variance is required. And in terms of parking, it's noteworthy that the city has already started a review of its existing parking standards to see if they should be further decreased. But frankly, it's impossible to put any type of vehicle parking on this lot. And it's an area served well by public transit with a good walkability score, and you have the Lee parking study in front of you. As my 5 minutes is up, I would simply say it is the express goal of City Council and the province to encourage the construction of more small-scale multi-residential projects like this to increase housing options in the city. We believe that through the design, all shadowing, privacy, and overlook concerns have been appropriately mitigated, and we hope the committee can endorse the recommendation of city planning staff. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. Panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Bronskill before we go to the opposition? Okay, so we'll have you back after we hear from the opposition.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have Marcin Pensky? Okay.
Hi, Marcin.
Hi, can I have you identify yourself, please, name and address for the record, and after that...
My name is Marcin Pensky, and I live at 221 Major.
All right, I'm going to start the clock now. You have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I hope I won't take 5 minutes. I just wanted to clarify one thing, that I'm not speaking in opposition, I'm speaking in support. I wrote also a letter in support.
That's fine. You can, go ahead.
So I wanted to say that this is, I think it's a very nice design. I think that the building existing is different from buildings around the neighborhood. The new design is the Toronto style, which very nicely combines old buildings and new elements. I also wanted to say that I don't live in any adjacent buildings. I live on the next corner. Sussex Street has many three-story buildings which have condo or rental units. So I think that the building fits in the neighborhood. The neighborhood is changing. There is lots of high-rise growing around, and I think it's a good thing. There was a recent Globe and Mail article which featured this building prominently and says that the neighborhood used to house somewhere around 30 or 40% more people 30 years ago. The reason I'm speaking here and I'm listening to the proceedings of your committee, which is very interesting for the last hour, is because I strongly believe in urban density. And this is one of those examples of little projects that will allow for increasing the urban density without changing the character of the neighborhood. The urban density is good for the neighbors. There will be 7 more families who will be able to use the transit, will be able to walk to work. It's good for local businesses. It's good for environment, and this is kind of the last important thing that I wanted to say. It's good for the planet. If we really want to care about global warming, that we'll have to do everything that is possible, and making people live close to the workplace is the most important, one of the important things. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Panel members, any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you. Do you have Mr. Weinberg?
Hi, Simon. You're unmuted to speak.
Hello?
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you please identify yourself, name and address for the record, and then you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members, for the opportunity to address this issue. My name is Simon Weinberg. My family has lived at 223 Brunswick for nearly 30 years. We're happy to live in a neighborhood that is diverse, economically, culturally.
Hi, Simon. We're getting some feedback.
Hang on a second. Go ahead.
Hi, Simon. We're getting some feedback from your microphone. If you can maybe speak a little bit back from the microphone, maybe that will help.
Sure.
Or turn up your mic volume.
Now?
Go ahead.
Is this better?
Yes.
Hello. Is this better? Okay. Well, we're happy to live in a neighborhood that's generous, flexible, and tolerant. However, there are limits to our tolerance, and we have unfortunately reached them with the proposal for 225 Brunswick. Our opposition is quite straightforward. We all appreciate the need for housing intensification, and we believe that there's excellent potential at 225 Brunswick Avenue. But the developer, Mr. Kopas, is absolutely intransigent regarding the size of the proposed development and the number of units. 225 Brunswick is an historic Toronto building. It was the site of Ontario's first Orthodox synagogue and an important Sephardic synagogue thereafter. And although it was identified as a designated property 20 years ago, Heritage has not attended to its exterior preservation as a listed building, which in our view and in the widening view of Toronto's Jewish community, it should be. Mr. Kovacs has declared that his proposal respects both the existing structure and our neighborhood. At the same time, he intends to maximize the building's profitability by massively expanding its square footage and building 7 units. The two objectives are clearly incompatible. It's the view of the neighborhood that the proposal is nothing short of a behemoth, completely at odds with the scale, aesthetic, and character of our neighborhood, and that it would provide a disturbing precedent. Hence, the intensity of the local response, which overwhelmingly opposes the approval of the project in its current state. I did send it a map which showed the objections and supporters, but if that's not to hand, that's fine. We've received over 70 letters of objection so far. Some have arrived since the closing date for the Committee of Adjustment submissions. 32 of these are from addresses within the 60-meter radius of the proposal. 59 are from addresses within 2 blocks of it. And it'll come as no surprise that the few individuals who have agreed to support the development are happily positioned where they will never actually be obliged to look at it. It's our view that the present proposal fails all 4 of the Committee of Adjustments tests and that the requested variances are a very long way from minor. The residents who will now address specific issues all live within the 60-meter radius. Just on a personal note, while the proposal would seriously impact my family and compromise our privacy, we count ourselves fortunate compared to our neighbors to the north of 225, Nova Edelman and Andrea Picard. The impact on their lives and the peaceful enjoyment of the home they have made there will be nothing short of calamitous. Thank you for your patience. I believe that Nova Edelman will be speaking to this now.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the speaker, panel members? Okay, seeing none. Do you have, thank you, sir. Do you have Ms. Schulman?
Hi, Nicole. If you can hear us, you're unmuted to speak.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Can you please state your name and address for the record, and then you have 5 minutes.
My name is Nicole Schulman. I live at 191 Brunswick, which is about half a block south of the proposed development. I had hoped to speak actually after the immediate residents who surround the proposed development and who are opposing, but I'll say my piece now. Not because I don't think this is a wonderful location for a residential project. It is. It's a very good site to be developed as housing. We need housing, multiple units. It's an appropriate use. The problem, though, and the challenge the developer has is fitting a multi-unit space into this lot, adopting it in a way that is acceptable to the neighborhood. And they've failed to do that. And that's what's so frustrating. You need to balance maintaining a stable community with increasing intensification. And the challenge with this property is that, as was stated by the developer's representative, it already fills most of the lot. So anything they do to it will, of course, have variances. The problem is that these variances massively increase the visual massing, essentially creating a rectangular. It's not just rectangular because the architect has done fairly clever things with the roof, but effectively you add 2 stories to where the eaves line is on the roof now, creating a large block. Now, if they were able to do this in a way that wasn't so negatively impactful on everyone around it, that would be fantastic. But that clearly has not happened. This particular design for this particular property is not going to work. And it's particularly important because although the developer's representative would like to assure us that this is a very unique property, it's not unique. There are actually any number of properties in the immediate neighborhood that are existing non-compliant properties that fill the lot. And if The new model for development means that you can build box-like structures up to the maximum permitted height, which is 40 feet. It will have a devastating impact upon this neighborhood, so I have to oppose it. I also would like to point out that the balance between creating new housing also has to be in creating good new housing. And I'm very concerned that this model, although it adds the 2 floors above the current eaves line, only 3 of the units are going to be above grade units. 4 of the units are primarily subgrade units. And in developing new housing, in developing an apartment building, it should be good apartments, not primarily basement units. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? Okay, do you have the next speaker on the line?
Hello, hi Nobu. If you can hear me, you're unmuted to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, if you could just speak just a teeny bit louder and give us your name and address for the record, and then you have 5 minutes.
Sure. My name's Nobu Edelman, and along with Andrea Picard, we live at 229 Brunswick, and we're the direct neighbors of to the north of 225.
Okay, starting the clock now. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, thanks for this opportunity to speak, Madam Chair, committee members. We strongly object to this proposal in its current state and do not believe the requested variances are minor. I'm going to address variances 1 and 2 in respects to the length of the development and the floor space index, asking you to reject these requests for the following reasons. But first, I'd like to bring up page 11 in the document titled H3A Correspondence in Opposition 24. I'm going to, these architectural, no, this is not, yeah. Right there, H3A, correspondence in opposition 24. We had architectural drawings that were drafted by, these are not it, by Michael Spaziani Architecture Incorporated, using the city's 3D model and the correct measurements of our house found on the applicant's survey submitted to the committee. It is H3A correspondence in opposition 24, please, 24. Now, these contradict the applicant's design plans that display incorrect measurements. As you can see, hopefully soon, the dotted red line is how our home was displayed in. So if you go to page 11, please. Page 11, please. There we go. So. As you can see, the dotted red line is how our home was displayed in the renderings, and that's 1 meter taller than our home's real height. The applicant's renderings are grossly misleading as they minimize the effect of the development's mass upon our home and have helped to gain some support outside the 60-meter radius, but they are incorrect. If you would please now go to page 8, you can see how our properties currently interface, allowing for sunlight. Page 8, please, which will be obliterated if variance 1 is approved. If we could, okay, so that was not the page, but we'll go to this page now.
Sorry, through you, Madam Chair. There are no page numbers on this document here. If you can associate it with the labels on the page instead, that'll be appreciated.
Okay, so what I was just talking about was north elevation existing March 24th, 2021. Right, so that's what I was talking about, how they currently interface. And if you go to the next one below that, please, I'm going to talk about, for variance 1, the maximum depth requirement is 14 meters and the applicant is asking for 19. It's just too much. You can see here how the development will aggressively loom over our property. 225 extends 3 meters beyond the length of our house into our backyard, and its proposed wall will be 39.4 feet high, straight up. The existing structure has a gradual sloping roof, which is angled such that it allows for sunshine to illuminate our home despite the height. It also provides us with privacy and views of the sky, despite it being built right up to our property line. If you could go back three images there to 3D views V4 and V7, these further detail how the design will massively and negatively affect our property. So here's variance 2 in our opposition. By increasing the FSI by 3.365 times the allowable amount 225 will be permitted to squeeze every available inch of space to the detriment of our property, the surrounding community, set a precedent for further developments, and really negatively impact our lives at 229, as well as those of our neighbors at 94 Sussex Avenue. On the far left of images V4 and V7, you'll see how 225 comfortably sits in relationship to our home. Now, in the middle is the proposed design, which really egregiously dominates the area. On the far right is an example of how a compromise could be reached, a possible solution if there was more communication. In addition to losing the daylight in our home and backyard, granting variances 1 and 2 will hugely compromise our privacy. This is made unnecessarily severe because the proposed 7 units will all have views either into our home and or backyard with extremely large windows. Though the applicant has agreed to frost the lower level windows and tilt the upper level ones to the northeast, they will all be extremely large and operable, sending noise from 7 different units into our daily lives around the clock, not to mention the light bleed each night from so many sizable windows. On top of this, the applicant has stacked the bedrooms and kitchens to the north side, facing us. The applicant insisted to us that they were told to do so by Heritage. And when Heritage was contacted by one of our neighbors, they said that they made no recommendations or suggestions for the north or east facade. So we've been consistently confused by the applicant's reasonings, which strikes us as unnecessarily intrusive. We are, like our neighbors who are in opposition, in favor of converting 225 into housing. It would be wonderful. But with proximity abutting its neighbors so acutely, conditions should be imposed upon this proposal in order to lessen the negative effect upon immediate neighbors like us and the surrounding residents. And we're so happy to continue the conversation to make this happen. All we are asking for is a reasonable solution which allows for housing units to exist at 225 in a way that doesn't completely destroy the enjoyment of our home. Along with the 60 or so, maybe more objections, we believe this proposal as it currently sits does not meet all the 4 tests, and we'd like to see the variances rejected. Really appreciate your time. We know what a slog this all is. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, any questions of the speaker? Okay. Okay, the next speaker.
Through you, Madam Chair, the next speaker is Fred Mamalidi. You have been unmuted.
Okay, sir.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Please identify yourself, name and address for the record.
Yes. My name is Fred Mamalidi. I'm the owner of 230 Brunswick Avenue.
Okay, starting the clock now. You have 5 minutes.
Hi. I live directly across the street from the subject property. I am a professional engineer practicing for over 42 years. I'm licensed as a civil engineer with a PEO certificate of authorization. I've lived on Brunswick Avenue for over 63 years. I will not repeat the many concerns already stated by the previous speakers, nor those expressed by my neighbors in their over 70 letters of opposition. I will address one serious concern that all the neighbors have regarding this application, that being waste management. Under bylaw 569/2013, it's mandatory that all waste and recyclable material be stored in a wholly enclosed building on private property. This is required for the interior. This requirement for interior storage is designed to more reliably limit the access of rats, raccoons, and other vermin. The applicant has conceded that the current design does not provide the required interior storage of the waste bins. Instead, the applicant proposes to use public domain on the Sussex Avenue side of the building for his private use in the storage of at least 15 waste bins. Even though the applicant could have developed a more modest design which provides for proper interior storage of waste bins, he proposes a design that maximizes the expansion of floor area to include a total of 7 apartment units. Clearly, the applicant's concept of a good neighborly design for waste management is to move all the garbage out into the public property. Furthermore, the applicant now proposes to place the garbage bins under outdoor planters. This is a major design flaw. This location becomes a cozy home for all the rats, providing shelter from the rain and the snow. Under the planters, the new home is cool in the summer and warm in the winter. These shelters, with the constant resupply of garbage, provides optimal conditions for rodent populations to easily proliferate. If you can bring up slide M1 for the panel to review.
Okay, just give us a second.
This is in regards to the Orkin study.
Through you, Madam Chair. Sorry, can you repeat which slide you want me to pull up?
I think it's M1.
Through you, Madam Chair, I don't see it here.
Is this part of your submission, or where do we find this?
It was sent in.
When?
By one of the members here.
Right, but
Anyway.
if it was sent in late, we don't have it. So I need to know when it was sent
No, it
in.
wasn't sent in late.
Okay. Do you know who sent it in? Because
It would have been Robert Brown.
Robert Brown, okay. Can you move on to your next point and then we come back to this?
I will just make a point. What it does show, it's a study by Orkin Canada. Orkin is one of Canada's major pest control companies. It was published last September, and lists Toronto as the top of the 25 most rat-infested cities in Ontario. The Toronto Sun reported at that time, Orkin Canada's regional manager Dale Kurt as saying that the list is definitely determined by population, size, amount of construction, and the number of older buildings. Well, Harbert Village, by its density and the age of its dwelling, could easily become the perfect storm. In this application, if the application is approved and possibly duplicated by other properties. Interestingly, there was another article, May 2019, by City News on rat witnessed in the lane near Bathurst and Bloor. That's right in the area. I quote from that article. We were coming down and saw what looked like a carpet of rats. There were at least 100 or so rats, end quote. This article can easily be Googled. The City of Toronto on their own website says, and I quote, residents and business owners are responsible for maintaining their own properties to prevent issues with rodents. Effectively, this says, if a serious problem does develop as a result of this application, well, the residents are on their own. I believe that the city has the opportunity at this stage to help the residents. If you live in Toronto, you always know it when it's garbage day. You know it by the sound of your neighbors rolling and dragging their bins into place. If you look at Plan A04, provided by the applicant, you'll see that all these bins are stored at the bottom of the excavated entrance level, up to 6 concrete steps down. Imagine the noise of these numerous garbage bins being dragged up and then down these concrete steps on a weekly basis. This is an echoing noise at the annoyance level that the immediate neighbors have never had to endure. To conclude, this proposal is fraught with problems and needs to be significantly revised. Having 7 units on such a small property with no proper waste management is irresponsible. It is totally insensitive to all the neighbors. We believe that based on these numerous problems and the overwhelming opposition, this application should be rejected. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Panel members, any questions from the speaker? Seeing none. Who's the next person on the list?
Through you, Madam Chair, the next speaker is Honoree Pasika. You have been unmuted, Honoree.
Hello, Committee of Adjustment members. I was hoping I was one of the last to speak. I live at 240 Brunswick Avenue, just a stone's throw away from 225 Brunswick. I can actually see it from my window every morning when I have my cup of coffee. I am adamantly opposed to this proposal in its current state, and I believe that the variances are not minor. I, like Simon Wiseman, believe that it will be a monstrous building, not in character with the rest of the neighborhood, which is full of Edwardian and Victorian homes. The agent for the developer is wrong in stating it is a mixed area with no character. I am strongly in agreement with Nobu Edelman. I believe that his property is seriously compromised by this build, and the enjoyment of it and his enjoyment of life is seriously compromised by the build. I believe in the Toronto official plan. I don't believe that fits the Toronto official plan, the variances. The plan is there for a reason, which is basically to address change through the decades. Change is a good thing, but change should be a reasonable thing. I don't believe that the variances are reasonable. I did send a letter of objection to you, especially about variance 2 in terms of the SFI that's being requested, but also variance 1. Although I know that the footprint of the building is at 19 point something meters, it's not the whole footprint of the building that's 19 meters in depth. There is a peaked roof. What the applicant is asking for is that the peaked roof be taken away and that the upper stories be thoroughly built to the 19 meters. That in itself poses a huge problem to Mr. Edelman and a huge problem to the rest of the 60 meter residents around it. I really rue the day when the Committee of Adjustments does turn its back against the Toronto official plan and just allows a developer to have variances to fit another Toronto policy, which is the TO core. I believe in the TO core. I believe that there should actually be a little more density in the neighborhood. I agree that there should be units in 225, but I don't believe there should be 7 units creating a BMR which trashes people's enjoyment of their property next door and creates such outrage in the neighborhood in the 60-meter radius and beyond. Thank you very much for listening to me. Please do not approve the variances requested.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker, panel members? All right, do you have the next speaker?
Through you, Madam Chair, the next speaker is Monica Walters-Field. Monica, you're unmuted.
Right. I'm assuming everyone will be able to hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. So if you can start by identifying yourself.
Thank you for affording me the opportunity. Sorry?
I need you to give us your name and address, and then the clock, I'll give you 5 minutes.
Okay. My name is Monica Walters-Field, and I live on 243 Brunswick Avenue.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm addressing, of course, the file, so whenever you're ready, you tell me how much time I have.
Go ahead, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. My neighbors have ably spoken to the application for minor variances for the development of 225 Brunswick Avenue, and I'm in agreement with their presentations. I agree with what they've said so far. But I have lived in the neighborhood for 43 years. My children grew up in the house that I live in, and prior to the pandemic, my grandchildren would have played and visited Brunswick Avenue and calls it the best grand house of their Abway and Gramercy. I wanted to speak and to refer to neighborhoods and to remind us that neighborhoods are not only buildings, that neighborhoods are also people. Brunswick Avenue is a street of mixed neighborhoods. We have varied ages, religions, origins, professions, and we even have 4th generations originals still living on the street. We believe in our neighborhood. We're not just saying this because it's a building. We are people living it. And we want to be able to say that we want everybody to be able to have a place in our neighborhood. We also have on our street people who need to be assisted to live on our streets. And we help, and we are able to absorb all these people. You know, everybody needs to remember, and sometimes I need to be reminded too, that Brunswick Avenue has been the landing place for a number of different kinds of people who were not necessarily accepted elsewhere, for different immigrants groups, for new peoples who didn't have a word welcome elsewhere. And as a Black person, I know that there are places, that there are other people that they couldn't live, and they could live on Brunswick Avenue. Dare I say, people, that we have this full neighborhood. It's a full neighborhood. There are no spare lots. We're not seeking to keep anyone out as implied by the Globe and Mail article, newspaper article that essentially called us names for taking out. We're not here because of speculation. We're here because we are intentionally committed to living in this safe place. And this place is we have our homes. We're living in this village. It is a village. But if anything else, we believe in the relationships of our neighbors, and we are indeed committed to that. It's not a thoroughfare of business and speculations. We now, of course, have grown into this big city where we have more cars than we need, more bicycles than we need, and we have delivery trucks going to Bloor Street. We haven't really stopped the modern times. Change is to be expected. We understand that. The city could do with more affordable housing. We know that. But this proposal on the table will not provide that. Putting an overbuilt, overcrowded plan in a corner space will not in any way enhance our neighborhood. It's just more business and an infrastructure and expansion that's just out of size, is what I say. What will this plan positively add to our treasured neighborhood? How will our neighborhood become more secure, more settled, not compromise our neighbors' properties, what will this bring to our positive neighborliness? I could go on and on and on. This plan does not fit where it's supposed to go. And so I could explain it all, but you've heard it all before by my fellow neighbors. I want to register here that this plan is not acceptable. I want it to be registered against this plan that is going to be overblown something, but I don't know what. And it is not acceptable to me or to my other many letters, 60 neighbors, over 60 neighborhood objections. I am beseeching you to not accept the plan as it is registered in this application. Thank you very much for your time. And I will now pass on the floor, I believe, to Robert Brown.
Actually,
no?
No.
No, I leave that to you.
I mean, if you want him to speak now, that's fine.
No.
Okay.
No, I was just, like, we were expecting that I would follow, he would follow me. But I will leave that up to you. But I just hope that I've been registered as against this application.
Okay, panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? No? Okay. Who's the next speaker on the list?
Through you, Madam Chair, the next speaker on the list is Margaret Zeidler. Margaret, you have been unmuted.
Thank you. As you heard, my name is Margaret Zeidler. I live at 283 Brunswick Avenue and have done so for the last 20 years. I am not within the 60-meter radius as the other speakers were, but I have some points that I think affect the whole neighborhood and others in the city. I need to ask you if you would put up the slide in opposition, or the whatever the document in opposition, number 24, that Nobu Edelman was speaking to, and if you could put the first image, thank you, B1 and B6, as we see here. It is not easy for me to come here today and request that you reject these variances. I was trained as an architect, I'm an urbanist to the core, and in my day job, I'm a developer who has specialized in the adaptive reuse of heritage buildings for the last 30 years. I embrace and strongly believe that we must intensify neighborhoods which are close to rapid transit in our city, and Harvard Village is one of those. I think the idea of putting 7 rental housing units in this location is a good one, theoretically, but I'm opposed to this project because of the damage it will do to adjacent neighbors. Had I been unaware of this condition at the back of the building, I probably would have written a letter in support, because the architect's renderings are very nice and make it look as that it fits well into the neighborhood and the scale of the street. If this project were built using the permitted length, of either 14 or 17 meters, it would significantly mitigate the impact on adjacent neighbors. But now that I have examined Michael Spaziani's plans, I see that modifications could be easily made to make the north facade more acceptable. As Monica mentioned, that there was an article in the Globe and Mail which said that anyone who would oppose this particular project specifically, but generally any types of intensification like this, was a NIMBY, and a few other things. I would suggest that this is not a NIMBY situation, it's a NIAMBY situation. NIAMBY as in not in anyone's backyard. I can't think that anyone would be happy if this addition were being proposed on or within a foot of their own property line. Could I ask you to go on 3 slides, please? I'm also very nervous that this will create a precedent. The planners told me I didn't need to be concerned about this because the property is unique. The proof which suggests that this is not the case is in the pudding, or should I say in the developer's planning report for this project. It identifies 8 properties as long as or longer than the one that is being proposed here. You are being asked to consider them as precedent to show why this building should be allowed to break that rule. These examples could not be more different than what is being suggested with this addition. All but one are either 1 story high or 2 stories high. Many of them have sloped roofs that ease their transition to the neighboring property. A couple are on the property line, but those ones have no windows facing the neighbors. And a few others have 1 or 2 small windows, but they're set back 4 or 5 feet from the property line due to fire code restrictions in place at the time they were built. Now that we have technologies which allow us to build windows right on a property line, and I would say that this project would not have been allowed if those technologies don't exist with so many windows. What if everybody were to do this? Would the owner of 229 be allowed to do the same on his property? I'm sure if he tried to get a variance for that, the owner of this project would fight to prevent it because his tenants would lose all their light, sky views, and fresh air. Could I go, I think it's forward to, I think go back or backward, sorry, backward to, shoot, I don't know. I will. Maybe forward 1, 2, there. That's it. Okay. I'm hoping that, sorry, the only way that this project can exist is in this form is by stealing light from the northern neighbor. I'm hoping that you will reject this proposal so that the errors in the drawings can be fixed, the ones that were pointed out by Nobu Edelman and were shown to you that are on this slide deck. I know in speaking to staff at Heritage Preservation Services, for example, that they base their approval or their endorsement on the fact that the west facade base their endorsement of the west facade on the condition that the tip of the wing on the north corner, you can see it there under B8 in the middle slide, be the same height as the neighbor's roof to the north. As you can see now that we have modified the computer model based on the actual height of the neighboring property.
Ms. Zeidler, you're at 5.5 minutes. Can you please wrap up?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm about 20. The Heritage should be given new information. There are other small errors. For example, the existing basement plan showing 5 openings is not correct. It is entirely brick except for 1 window to the east and a half window beside it. If you, I'm asking, please, if you will refuse this project. If you disagree and decide to approve the project, I would plead on behalf of the next door neighbors and all of us who may face this situation in the future that you put a condition on approval that says the developer must go back and modify his plans to be acceptable as the building relates to its immediate neighbors. And I think this time, this has been tried once before, as you know, but I think, so this time someone needs to mediate that so that the developer is compelled.
Okay, I'm going to have to cut you off. You're at 6.5 minutes, and I still have...
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Do you have the next speaker on the line?
Through you, Madam Chair, the next speaker on the list is Robert Barnett. Robert, you're unmuted.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Robert Barnett. My wife and I have lived at 84 Sussex for 48 years. Our location is exactly 73 meters east of the subject. In the 80s, I was chair of the Residents Association and had to deal with many rezoning and minor variance issues. In my opinion, I'm a registered architect. This application is not minor and should more properly be assigned to city staff as a rezoning matter. This would allow time for discussion of the official plan, shading studies, heritage studies, and proper community meetings and consultation. This proposal, in my opinion, fails dramatically to satisfy the purpose and intent of the City of Toronto official plan. And that is, of course, one of the 4 tests under which you're evaluating this proposal. So I believe it fails in 5 important ways. First, I'd like to draw your attention to sections of the official plan as follows. Chapter 2, Section 2.3.1, Healthy Neighborhoods. Quote, neighborhoods are low-rise, low-density areas that are considered to be physically stable. Development in neighborhoods will be consistent with this objective and will respect the existing physical character of buildings, streetscapes, and open space patterns in these areas. I note that apartment buildings are allowed in our neighborhood. There are 17, and they're shown on Exhibit 4.1.9, which we submitted, and their average FSI is 2.5, not the 3.65 being asked for here. At 3.65, the proposal is far greater than even apartments, let alone houses, which average around 1.6 in our neighborhood. So I emphasize, this is not low-rise and low-density. It doesn't meet the official plan test. Next, Chapter 3, Section 3.1.5, Heritage. Quote, potential and existing properties of cultural heritage or interest will be identified and included in area planning studies and plans with recommendations for further study and conservation. Well, this project's been in the files for 20 years and the study has not been completed by the city. So we want it to be, it has to be to meet the official plan test. Next, I will quote you from Section 4.1, Neighborhoods. In sub F, policy 4.1.5, development in established neighborhoods will respect and reinforce the existing physical character of each geographic neighborhood, including in particular, policy, prevailing heights, massing, scale, density, and dwelling types of nearby properties. Well, Chair and members, this proposal massively fails to have such respect. Next, I go to policy 4.1.8. Zoning bylaws will contain numerical site standards for matters like density, setbacks from lot lines, landscaped open space, and the bylaw does set these standards, and this proposal is far from compliant with those standards set out. Next, policy 4.1.9. In established neighborhoods, infill development on properties that vary from the local pattern in terms of lot size and configuration or orientation will have to meet the following tests. I note that this is a double lot. It's not like the other lots, and it's shorter. It's had one house width cut off the length. So, sub 1, A. Such buildings are supposed to have heights and massing and scale that are respectful of those permitted by zoning for nearby residential properties. B, have setbacks from adjacent residential properties that are proportionate to those permitted by zoning for adjacent residential properties. C, provide adequate privacy, sunlight, and sky views for occupants of existing buildings. And I note the comments from the neighbor to the north This will have a huge negative impact on 229 and 94 Sussex next door. Next, D, locate, screen, and wherever possible, enclosed service areas and garbage storage so as to minimize the impact on existing streets and from residents. Well, as Fred pointed out, it does not. So, Madam Chair and members, this proposal fails to meet all of these clauses in the official plan, so it just does not meet the official plan. The proposal deprives buildings to the north and east of too much sunlight. No construction should be allowed beyond the existing ridge line. The existing ridge line's okay, let's keep it there. The developer has taken the maximum allowed height and extended it across virtually the whole site, not just a fraction, as intended by the bylaw with setbacks. So, the bylaw,
Mr. Barnett?
2013.
Mr. Barnett, you're at 5.5 minutes. Can you wrap up, please?
Okay, so I emphasize that this proposal is for far more than a minor variance and fails dramatically to meet the 4 tests. So I would suggest that it should go to a rezoning, and let's have a community-friendly process, not the process where the developer claims he consulted with the neighbors but did not. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker, panel members? No? Okay.
Okay, so through you, Madam Chair, the next speaker on the line is Katrina McHugh. Katrina, you have been unmuted.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, committee members. My name is Katrina McHugh, and I have lived at 87 Sussex Avenue for the past 40 years, and my home is approximately 20 meters from the subject property. I'm speaking today about the variances requested for landscaping and our concerns that the project, as proposed, will have a devastating impact on the existing trees on the city boulevard, both on Brunswick and on Sussex Avenue. In accordance with variance number 3, the zoning bylaw requires that the lot area containing an apartment must have a combined hard and soft landscaping area of 50%. According to the applicant's project statistics, A03, the subject site will have a total of only 6.44%. Given that the building takes up 93.56% of the lot, we understand that increasing the green space will not be possible. We're concerned that by creating 2 additional hard landscaped walkways on Sussex Avenue leading to 4 separate below-grade units, each with a patio and additional hard landscaped areas for garbage storage, all in the public domain, this is going to dramatically reduce the already minimal soft landscaping. In addition to the extensive excavation that will be required to implement the proposed plan, we feel it's going to cause significant damage to trees C1, C2, C3, and C4, as shown in the applicant's drawing A.04. The applicant's arborist's report under the Tree Preservation Plan, Appendix 1, provides a very clear picture as to where the tree protection zone must be and where the proposed tree protection hoarding will go. I think you'll find that there's quite a discrepancy there. The encroachment into the required tree protection zone is alarming. Both the applicant's arborist report and the urban forestry report have stated that the majority of trees surrounding the property are currently healthy. A project of this magnitude must have an on-site staging area to store the heavy machinery, the equipment required for demolition and construction, joining on the spots, etc. Again, I'll refer to the applicant's arborist report, Appendix 1, which shows that once the tree protection zone has been erected in accordance with city standards, there'll be absolutely no room for any on-site storage. So that's extremely interesting. I'm not sure where he thinks all of the materials for building are going to go. Allowing the city boulevard to be used in this manner would contravene the City of Toronto tree protection policy that states, and I quote, "The purpose of the tree protection zone is to prevent root damage, soil compaction, soil contamination. Workers and machinery shall not disturb the tree protection zone in any way." Again, I don't think that's a possibility given the lack of private space the developer has for storing his equipment. I'm going to ask you to bring up Exhibit 1 and 2. I believe it's H3A from the Arborist report. It's 2 photographs.
Sorry, can you repeat the page number through you, Madam Chair?
Keep going. It's the Exhibit H3A, but it's 2 photographs that are just a few more pages up. You're almost there. Or not. There we go. Okay. So, now both of these have been borrowed from the applicant's arborist report. I'm going to ask you to look at these photos and take a moment to imagine how different that corner is going to look if the proposal to add a 3-story addition to this building is allowed. It's going to increase the GFA to just under 9,000 square feet. And the existing tree canopy that you see will be obliterated. I find it very troubling and not at all in line with the City of Toronto's official plan, which I quote, "Protecting Toronto's natural environment and urban forests should not be compromised by growth, insensitivity to the needs of the environment, or neglect. To this end, proposals for new developments may need to be accompanied by a study assessing their impact on the natural environment." Now, I understand that the developer has a urban forest report here, but there has been no study done. Variance 5 requests a small strip of soft landscaping to the north of the building. We don't have any concerns with that, but they certainly will have a hard time maintaining that because it will require access in that location through the neighbor's private property. Today, we've heard from the developer and his team that many of the variances before you are as of right. We strongly feel that damaging or destroying any of the trees on the city boulevard is not a right and should not be allowed purely for the benefit of the applicant's own personal gain.
You're at 5.5 minutes. If you could wrap up, please.
Okay. What we'd ask at the very least is that the committee, if they do decide to accept this application, is that you would impose the following conditions. 1, the storage of all heavy equipment and machinery be off-site. 2, that all excavation be done by hand. 3, that any trees that are destroyed be replaced with mature trees. And 4, that an environmental impact assessment be conducted. I request that this application be denied as it clearly fails at least one of the mandatory tests. Thank you, committee members, for your consideration.
Thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? No? Okay, who's the next one?
Through you, Madam Chair, the next speaker on the list is Sabrina Hasham. Sabrina, you're unmuted.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Sabrina Hasham. With my partner for the last 22 years, I've been the owner of 94 Sussex Avenue, the immediate neighbor to the east of 225 Brunswick Avenue. I'm in agreement with our neighbors who are speaking before and after me, especially Noble Adelman and Andrea Picard, the immediate neighbors the other immediate neighbors of 225 Brunswick Avenue. So I'll be very brief and specifically address variances 7 and 8, which is car and bicycle parking. As per bylaw 569-2013, 7 parking spaces, 6 for residents and 1 for visitors are required for the new development, and none are being provided. At present, bike lanes in both directions have been added to Brunswick. There's no place to stop a car or taxi for a drop-off or pickup. This used to be possible, but now, in order to stop, a driver must drive into the bicycle lane coming in the opposite direction. We have several residents who are elderly with mobility issues who already experience problems. We've often had to run out and chase away folks or call parking services to remove cars from blocking our carport on many, many occasions. With more cars coming and going, we're certain to have more incidents of cars blocking our driveway. The pandemic has resulted in many, many more cars being parked on the street, and it's become even more difficult to find street parking. If the city is certain that this will not cause more trouble in the area because tenants will use public transportation, can we ask that no parking permits be issued for 225 Brunswick? We believe the tenants of this building will likely want parking. If this variance is granted, we propose that the owner be required to enter into long-term leases for these spaces in the neighborhood lots, that is within 300 meters of the subject property. Also, according to the bylaw, 7 bicycle parking spaces are required and none are being provided. The developer is asking that he be allowed to construct 8 spaces on city land, again, encroaching onto city land. This means that the developer will have even less of the soft landscaped area in front of the building, especially on Sussex Avenue. I ask that both variances 7 and 8 be disallowed. We believe that this proposal does not meet all the 4 tests, and we'd like to see that the variances be rejected, as have been requested by the other 60+ objections. We love our little home and our small but beloved side yard, and we are very concerned that with more people and their garbage and recycling bins and their bicycle spaces, and with people coming and going, it'll have a real negative impact on the enjoyment of our property. I'll conclude by stating that we understand the need for additional, especially more affordable housing in the city, and a smaller residential development of fewer units may be more reasonable for this property. We are very open to working with the developer, as are our neighbors, to find a more acceptable solution for all the affected stakeholders, especially, and I'd like to state again, especially what is happening to our neighbors, Noble Edelman and Andrea Picard. Thank you very much, committee members.
Thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? Okay, and the next speaker?
Through you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Robert Brown. Robert, you have been unmuted.
Are you there, Mr. Brown?
Hi, Robert. If you can unmute your mic and speak into your microphone, we are not able to hear you. Through you, Madam Chair, we will try to give Robert a call at the provided number.
Okay, we'll have to just stand it down for a minute because he's the last speaker. Do you need 5 minutes to get him on the line, or 2 minutes? Okay.
Hi, Robert. If you can talk. Hi, we can hear you.
I'm just going to turn. Can you hear me?
We can. If you can just state your name
Okay,
and
just hold on.
address. Okay.
Okay, just hold on. Just hold on. Let me get my phone organized. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just if you can state your name and address for the record, and then I'll start the clock after you've done that.
Okay, my name is Robert Brown. I live at 88 Spadina Road. And hello.
Okay, starting your 5 minutes now. Go ahead.
If you can just state your name and address. Okay. Okay, just hold on. Just hold on. Let me get my phone organized. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but you're all of a sudden you're very distant. I don't know what happened. Do you have something going in the background? Because it's echoing.
Hi, Robert. If you have something playing in the background, if you can mute it and speak into your headset or your handset.
Okay, how's this sound now?
Yeah, excellent.
Okay. As Ms. Ullman, or Madam Chair said, my name is Robert Brown and I reside at 88 Spadina Road.
I've been retained by a group of the local residents to provide some evidence in the evaluation of this proposal against the 4 tests. You've already heard some pretty passionate and very good empirical factual comments from some of the neighbors. Now, I have been qualified to provide factual and opinion evidence before the TLAB, and as the chair knows, I have evaluated over 5,000 C of A applications in the last 15 years. I'll try and just touch on some of the key points that the previous speakers have raised, and maybe a couple of other little sidebar points. I think Mr. Barnett raised the issue of that this is a repurposing of a legal non-conforming commercial building into residential, which is fine, and everybody would like to see this, but it's the massing of the building, and in discussions with the applicants over the last few months, he has clearly indicated that this is going to be an upmarket building, and I find it strange that there is no elevator for third-story dwelling units if this is going to be an upmarket building. Now, let's just see. Okay. The other key points that I think the neighbors really talked about was it is the impact. It's not whether this variance is minor or not. It is the impact on the immediate neighbors, and both Sabrina and Nobu have quite adequately stated that. I would say that the area that I'm most concerned about on behalf of the neighbors is this it's almost an expropriation of public land for the benefit of a private landowner. That is particularly if the staff could bring up the site plan. I think it's a 3.4 or 3.0, something like that. Are the staff bringing up the?
Yeah, they're doing it now.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have it. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think you've probably read it enough times anyway. But if you look at what's happening there, there is a significant amount of existing soft landscaping that is going to be eliminated by the concrete steps and by the waste management cubby holes. And already the building itself is only at around 7% soft landscaping, and now we're probably going to lose at least another 60% of the existing soft landscaping in the public domain. And I think this is absolutely inappropriate. The point that Ms. Zeidler was bringing up, I think, is really quite poignant, and that is the impact on Nobu's property, Nobu Edelman, 229. I mean, this is an apartment building, and it should be limited. Any of the additional construction should be limited to the 14-meter depth, not to be able to extend all the way back to the 19-meter approximate depth at the ground floor. I mean, and from my point of view, as somebody who's provided opinion evidence over the years, this is not, while it's a desirable repurposing objective, it is not a project that deserves support by the Committee of Adjustment. There are just too many negative impacts on the community, and there are too many questions about the viability of the project. I mean, if you're going to be paying $4,000 a month for an apartment, you surely don't want to have a 3-story walk-up. And that's, I think, a mistake on behalf of the developer in his expectations. So I would echo the comments of the immediate neighbors, and I believe that this application should be refused. And I ask for your support in that refusal recommendation. So hopefully this is under 5 minutes.
Yep, you are. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Bronskill. are you there?
I am, Madam Chair, thank you.
Before you do your rebuttal, can you just tell me, the last deferral was to do some consultation, and I know the councillor was involved. Did any of that take place?
There have been, as I said earlier, there have been further discussions and meetings. I think I would just say this. I'm not going to accuse my client or any of the residents, as some accuse my client, of being intransigent. I think discussions, let me just say this, if that's the suggestion, intransigence is a two-way street. Sometimes I prefer, I think how I phrased it earlier, consensus could not be reached. And that happens on files such as this. I don't think it's, as suggested, the intransigence of my client. I don't think that's a fair allegation, as was made earlier by a speaker. But yes, there have been further consultations and meetings, including with the Residents Association. And as I said earlier, unfortunately, consensus couldn't be reached on a project like this.
Okay, so with that, I'll give you 5 minutes to speak to the issue.
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe we have to switch the YouTube stream, so it may take a few minutes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bronskill, we got to take 5. They have to switch the YouTube feed. Sorry about this.
No, that's all right.
Thanks for your patience, everybody.
Just everyone in the call right now, we are who's watching on YouTube, we are switching to PM2. So there should be a new stream up on our channel labeled PM2 for this hearing.